everybody. We are live. Welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. It is dark in my room. Hold on. Boost the gain just a tiny bit. That is too dark. It's almost weirdly dark. Welcome on in, everybody. Keep it. The lighting is nice. Did I go too bright? It was there. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. I gotta tell you something, chat. We'll probably end up talking about it because how can I not? But I don't know about you. I'm a little bit bored of the Emiru Asmongold drama. I feel like we've extracted as much as we can out of that. I said my piece. I watched Hassan's coverage. He covered it exactly like I expected him to cover it. You know what I mean? Like, the funny thing about like the coverage of it by Hassan was like, we should be very charitable to them. And then he actually learns the facts. And then he comes in, he's like, yeah, maybe this is kind of bad. So I was like, So what's happening today? Happy birthday. Whose birthday is it? The Techno Dog? Happy birthday, the Techno Dog. Thank you for another year of fun and learning. Well, thank you for being here on your birthday. Hope you're having a good birthday. We need to bully the conservatives that actually go out like Sneeko and Clavicular. I mean, listen, this is how I feel. I don't call for anyone to be harassed because it's just a bad vibe, right? Like, if you're on this side of the camera, a lot more people are going to know who you are than you know who they are. That's just the way it is. And if you know anything about the nature of violence, you understand that surprise is a massive advantage. If you don't see shit coming, you don't have the ability to defend yourself. So I'm not going to ever call for people to go after content creators because I'm really playing with fire there. Are you going to shit talk Caroline, who said the same thing as Hassan? She said, no, I agree with them. I agree with them. Like, which is we should be maximally charitable to people. However, in this case, I'm sorry, but there is enough evidence of ill intent and coordination with Asmongold for me to be like, nah, she's decided that she wants to be on that side of like, listen, it is what it is. You know, I'm not that guy. If somebody, you know, I'm going to be here to tell you the truth. I'm not going to be mean. I'm open to people changing their minds. Like, it's okay. You know, like, that's just we have different strokes for different folks. And like, this is the reality, you know, just to finish this up. I have something that's in my clipboard. Let me bring it over because I'm thinking about making a post on this. But both Gamergate and, you know, the Epstein files show that this shit is these narratives are invented to make people not support the policies that will actually liberate us. Asmongold says we need to be even more aggressively hostile against woke because they will do it to you and have. I often say the biggest tactical error is to not believe you are in a war when the other side is eagerly warring against you. I mean, certainly that's a tactical error. That would be a strategic error. God, they're fucking illiterate. Jesus Christ, they're fucking illiterate. God damn it. They're so fucking stupid. That would be a strategic error, not a tactical error, you dumb fuck. Jesus Christ, you illiterate. Holy fucking Christ. These are the most powerful people in our country. Asmongold, Elon Musk replies, he's right. They're so fucking scared. Epstein file extraordinaire. He has thoughts on it. Let me read this.
Friend of the show and my favorite benefactor. She's my favorite patron. Isn't it nice getting a check every month from my favorite patron? So, friend of the show, Casey Tron, everybody. And she has a take.
Guys, what does this have to like? Okay, so Ethan Klein believes that we shouldn't speak out on ICE. What is it? What is Ethan Klein? Let's try to figure out what Ethan Klein's thoughts are, and then we're gonna move on to some much more important content. Oh fuck! I didn't put the one thing I was gonna watch next. AOC speech to UAW. Fuck! That's what I was excited to watch today. The thing is, like, I know that most of the people that watch politics on Twitch, a large percentage of you don't care as much about politics as I wish you did. So you know, I'm going to force you to care about shit. Like, I'm going to cover stuff that, you know, very few other streamers are going to cover because they don't really care about politics that much. So they're just trying to become famous. Anyway, but I do have to cover this because I have to play the game.
About Emerald. I'm surprised she's still running her mouth. I recall her apologizing to Asmongold, who she despises.
Yeah.
That was pretty humiliating. I'm surprised she's still running her mouth.
You know what I mean? It's
No.
like her whole platform is just like
By the way,
to, like,
why are you
the
so
work.
mad at her? Like, they're talking about her so nasty. She didn't do anything except be like, why do I need to say fuck ICE? Like, I'm just here playing video games, right?
Worst fucking men. And
Well, I'm guessing it's the same reason that Denims is going in on her because of what she said about the lawsuit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why she's mad. That was Casey. I think maybe Casey John forget.
Who still watches this? Not many. Not many people. Because to watch Ethan Klein, you have to be interested in politics, but in an Ethan Klein centric way. Meaning, you have to be interested in politics, but you have to think about it like, what serves the short-term interests of Ethan Klein today, right? And that's not really a coherent ideological narrative. It's kind of unpredictable because you never know when he's suddenly going to intervene on the side of the conservatives because one of us is saying some bog standard take on politics. So how many people do you know organize their political education around Ethan Klein's whims? The answer is negative 10K, negative 10K, negative 10K, negative 10K, negative 10K, negative 10K, negative 20K, negative 20K, negative 30K, negative 10K, negative 10K. Like, that's the answer. Oh my God, 5,000 or 5 million views in January. Oh, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. 5 million views. That's it. Oh, that's not a lot. Mike was right. Don't fet post. Yeah, I know. All right, let's finish this dumb shit. I really want to watch the AOC thing.
Get her public statement, but she also thought my lawsuit was like really valid, and she wished me luck against the other people too. So I think Casey John must have forgot her position on this, right?
Her position on what?
Hopefully, I don't have to remind her, right?
Position on what?
just my
What's her
opinion.
position?
But yeah, she sucks. And I mean, like, I don't know. I think that this was a long time coming. I think the other thing that was just like, okay, is how she didn't say anything whenever it came to Tectone and Pinky Chew. You know, she didn't say anything like in support of Pinky Chew or like, you know, like, yeah, like I don't associate with, like it's.
So, I mean, when are
Ethan, politics are, if you're on my side, you could say or do anything you want. Yeah, that's called being an Israeli. Right? Like, that's just Israeli politics. That's called, you know, which is Israelis torture children, they starve children, they murder children. There's really nothing that's not on the table as long as you're an Israeli doing it to a group of people they've deemed to be deserving of it, then it's okay. And that's just, he's just Israeli brained. And from what I understand, Gila Klein didn't want to say fuck ICE. You're an immigrant.
you going to announce your friends? For example, I know Mike from PA violently assaulted a couch. When are you going to speak out in defense of that? Right?
Wait, are you trying to equate? Wait a minute. Are you really trying to say I had a wait, let me get this straight. You're equating stalking and sexual assault with some clip of me shoving a couch 7 years ago? Oh my God. Holy shit. I mean, here's kind of my feeling. Like, Ethan, you know, I'm in LA a lot now, and I consider you to be someone that I'm eager to meet. You know, we'll hang out.
I mean, it's easy for you to say because you're not close to it. But like, if there was truth and honesty in the world, you would have denounced Mike from PA long ago for the horrible things he's done to couches. You know,
bro, you literally said you touched children on your Reddit posts. You like, you know what I mean? Like, listen to this. It's easy to equate hitting a couch with domestic assault when you view women as objects. No, it wasn't domestic assault. It was Tectone was found liable for sexual assault, namely coerced sexual contact and stalking. It's crazy after all these years, they still attack you based on couch and cringe clip. And these are literally nothing because it's not the thing. It's not about what's in the clip. You have to understand human beings at a deeper level than that, which is human beings create out groups and they create And that's it. Once you understand that Ethan Klein is as intelligent as a 6th grader, he thinks that I'm bad, and just the performance of saying something is bad is enough to make it bad. Do you know what I mean? If you plan on covering Hassan's coverage, I'm not. I don't think I can. I don't really. I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I will. I want to talk about real politics for a while. Can we do that? You know, can we do that? I do think this is a good closure point. Would it surprise you to find out their entire take on the Bad Bunny show was why didn't they sing it as English? Oh, I'm surprised they didn't ask it to be sung in Hebrew. China maxing the CCP's
in just a few hours. The House Ways and Means Committee holding.
Oh hell yeah! Okay, we gotta watch this first. Well, no, this is going. No, this is gonna be in there. All right, chat. I want you guys to vote with your feet. You tell me what to cover. Right? Like, you tell me what am I gonna get rewarded for? What am I going to get incentivized for? Do you want to see the next president of the United States beginning their campaign? Or do you want to see Hassan talking about Asmongold? You tell me. You tell me. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be an active test, I guess.
But she understands that democracy is not just about elections or the Supreme Court or worrying about the norms. Democracy is only possible, and that's something that our union has always been clear about since the days of Walter Reuther. Democracy is only as strong as the power of the people. And the power of the people is rooted in the working class. And what do the working class need? It's the issues right behind me. It's wages, it's healthcare, it's retirement security, it's time off the job. But here's the truth about that. In order to make that a reality, we need a strong labor movement making it possible. And our next speaker epitomizes those UAW values. She is someone, from the minute she was elected to Congress, who inspired millions to get involved in politics for the first time and organize with their neighbors. She is someone who I am proud to have in Congress, representing thousands of UAW members in my region, in the Bronx, and my home in Queens. She is someone who has walked the walk, someone who knows what it's like to work for a living and to struggle. And she is now bringing that fight back to Congress. Please welcome UAW Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
This is real politics, I swear.
What's up, UAW? Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you all for having me today. Are you all fired up? Thank you all so much. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Thank you for having me this morning. I, again, want to thank Brandon for that.
I think AOC Fane 2028 would be the most based possible slate. You would have a white working class man, and you would have this kind of like young millennial a leader. Like, how could they attack it? You're gonna have what? JD Vance, a demon as listen. The I've had it women. I think they're right about the demon queens. The demon queens are. I'm sorry, that is the most accurate description I've ever seen in my life. And I don't want to be homophobic because it's not the queen part that's the bad part. It's the demon part. That's the bad part. Okay?
Lovely introduction, and I want to thank President Fane for his leadership, his clarity, and for his friendship over the years. I also want to thank Region 9A for all, that's right, for all the incredible work that they're doing in New York and in Puerto Rico. UAW, it is an incredible honor to be with you here today. In just the last few years, what your union has accomplished is absolutely historic. The stand-up strike in 2023 alone set new standards for collective action in the modern era. It also reminded the CEOs of this country that when working people stop, this whole country stops. It turns out, And it turns out that there is some good news for the working class of this country right now. And it's that they've got the United Auto Workers on their side. The engine of America, the workers who make this country run, who are on the front line of building this country. You are giving people hope. And it is UAW that is pushing the entire labor movement forward. Each and every one of you should feel immense pride about that. Now, I want to start by talking about what's happening in the streets and neighborhoods all over America. We've just heard David Huerta's harrowing story. Our co-workers, U.S. citizens and immigrants alike, are being disappeared off the street by masked agents. We are watching federal officers murder American citizens in broad daylight. And instead of making the lives of working people...
Do we really know Fade's positions across the board? You don't, but I do. You may not, but I do. He has been very, very clear on them. It's not some fucking secret. He has been, he says he wants to continue the tradition of Walter Reuther. Walter Reuther was probably the most left-wing major labor leader in America until his plane suddenly malfunctioned and he died in a plane crash. And he says that he wants to continue that tradition of Walter Reuther. And if you know anything about the civil rights movement, then Walter Reuther and the UAW were very important pillars of pushing for the civil rights movement. And so, UAW condemned Israel's genocide. There are more right-wing elements in UAW. Like UAW has like mainstream Dems in there. Like it has different wings, and Fain represents the left in UAW. And they have just succeeded in organizing the first factory in the American South, which was a project that the UAW has been working on for literally decades. And Fain has that feather in his cap. So all in all, Fain is probably one of the best American labor leaders. So I like him because he's from the Midwest. He is about organized labor. And I think it's good optically, to have diversity between New York City and, the upper Midwest. That is the type of coalition you need to win. And I love the name Fain. Fucking badass.
People easier. This administration has decided to unleash fear across this country. And the violence and targeting of our communities serves a broader purpose for Trump and his cronies. Because fear is a tool of authoritarianism. Fear is a tool used to divide us, to place doubt in our hearts, to chill our constitutional rights of free speech and free association. But UAW, fear only works when people are isolated and alone. And that is why the union makes us strong. Because working people are never isolated when we are organized. The elite want us divided by race, by immigration status, by zip code, by who they tell us to blame for the fallout of their greed. But unions teach us something different, that our strength and our prosperity come from standing shoulder to shoulder. And when we organize, suddenly, fear begins to lose its power. When we stand together, intimidation fails. And when working people move as one, we are unstoppable. Because the truth is, fear is a paper tiger. We are all here together because we believe in the power of an organized working class. Right now, our power is being tested by a dangerous concentration of wealth, political influence, and corruption. And it feels like they are growing stronger by the day. But UAW, so are we. We know that their corruption did not happen overnight. It happened after decades of stalled minimum wage while productivity and profits soared. It happened after trade deals like NAFTA ravaged entire communities, shipped jobs overseas, while big money politicians told working people that the sacrifice of our livelihoods was merely the price of competitiveness.
I think that the AI movement has created an opportunity for revolution, and in a certain sense, it is the ultimate vindication of dialectical materialism, which is it's very clear that the capitalist class, who has held the white-collar class of highly educated professionals close to them, like the best way to be a upwardly mobile in this country for the longest time was to get a professional white-collar job and then work your way up through that profession. And then you would get proximity to capital, proximity to power. You would be around and you became accustomed to and acculturated to the logic of capitalism. But now that they have AI, it's very clear that the bourgeoisie are so hostile and embittered that they ever had to pay the top 10% anything. They're like, why should I have to pay a computer programmer or an engineer or an architect or a lawyer or a doctor any money? They should all be the same slaves, barely making ends meet. Why are you any better than a welder or a roofer or any other somebody with incredibly difficult and painful skills out in the sun? Why should you be paid so much money to push my paper around? I'll have the computer do it. You go back to the fucking soup line. And I think that kind of existential threat for the entire logic of upward mobility and proximity. I think this is why I've been re-examining Gramsci lately. It's because we're talking about like the culture of the ruling class becoming hegemonic. The like values of the ruling class becomes the values of the society at large. And I feel like AI and robotics are a dagger aimed at capital's own hegemonic status, because human beings have a lot of cognitive biases, but one of the biggest ones is this kind of like status quo bias and loss aversion. When AI is like, all right, we're not gonna hire anybody from law school anymore. We're not gonna, we're not gonna compensate white collar professionals. We're gonna destroy and devalue white collar professionals. People are losing status, and the right wing is fully in the pockets of the billionaire class, and it's very obvious to everybody. And the scapegoats, immigrants as a scapegoat isn't gonna work if you're losing your job to AI. There's not enough of a nexus there. And even if AI doesn't work, this is the really interesting point that I think needs to be made. They're investing so much capital into AI that if it all fucking blows up, if it turns out to be a boondoggle, the economy's gonna crash. The fucking economy's gonna crash. So either we have this kind of like existential separation between the white collar classes, where they are fully proletarianized. That's a good Marxist term. Just the way that blue collar work was, the artisanal class was. If you read Marx, what Marx talks about is proletarianization. So what does that mean? One of the classic examples of Marx is weavers. So in the Middle Ages, late feudalism, people who made cloth were artisans, and they were highly skilled. And cloth was expensive because it was difficult to make. It had to be processed by hand. So people would like keep cloth, like rags were fucking valuable. And eventually, with industrialization came mechanization, and mills started putting out cloth, a lot of it. They were spamming it out, and the artisanal weavers could not keep up. They couldn't compete with the price. Now, here's the thing. Their artisanal handmade cloth was still better quality. That's what people don't understand. It was still better. The handmade cloth was still a lot better than the mass-produced shit. But guess what? It didn't matter. They all lost their jobs, and we still talk about them to this day. They're called Luddites. Luddites were not losers. They were incredibly they were like upper class, like burger class. The middle class of the Middle Ages was these burghers, these artisans, and they were losing status. They were becoming proletarianized, and they saw the machines and factories as doing it. And they went to war, and they ultimately lost against the machines. Ultimately they lost their status. They were proletarianized. Weaving is no longer something that we even consider to be artisanal. We forgot that entire context because the technology robbed them of their social status, and they became lower class. So if you were a weaver, you lost your social status. You lost your class position. You were proletarianized. And it's very clear that that's the intent the capitalists have for white collar work, whether it's computer programming, legal work. A lot of what doctors do is analyzing, it's analyzing data. It's looking at, diagnostic images. They want to target, the kind of intellectual labor of the medical profession. They want to automate that. And that means a stripping of social status for doctors. I mean, let's just be honest. Let's imagine that medical tricorders are real now, chat. Meaning you could buy a device, you grab it, you could point it at somebody from Star Trek, you could scan them, and it'll say, oh, this person has, hypotension. Administer this medicine, and it pops out of a tube, and you inject it into a person. What status do doctors have then? Or a med bed, or whatever the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would somebody spend 8 years in medical school if some robot, some machine could just replace it instantly? Now, obviously, I would consider that, if you were to ask me, Mike, if we had medical tricorders, would that be better than the medical system we have now? And I would say, of course it would be. But for the position of the doctor, unless we live in socialism, his life is significantly worse, because he'll go from making his $200,000 plus a year unemployed. And that, like, dagger, that's the techno-optimistic viewpoint. What if the tricorder sucks? What if the tricorder is constantly giving you false positives and inventing diseases? Like, we lose the inflow of medical professionals. What if it slopifies and it starts failing? Medical tricorder joke scans. Damn it, Jim. Space chlamydia again? It's been a week. Okay, first of all, in Star Trek, it's kind of implying that you're shaming him for being promiscuous, and I would just tell you, in socialism world, we will not be doing that. Okay, having sex will be considered to be the equivalent of giving someone a hug. Okay, like it's not that big of a deal. In Star Trek, you don't need condoms. That's right. Can I hug you? No. All right. Let's keep going.
It happened after unions were weakened, labor laws ignored, and
by the way, Chad, I'm kidding. I'm not saying this is my socialist fantasy. I'm saying that is what the fantasy of the founder of Star Trek, that was his attitude. The creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, he was like that. He was like, our sexual mores are so quaint. In the future, people will not, it won't be that big of a deal. And as far as I know, there is no slut shaming in Star Trek. Is there? I can't remember any, but maybe I'm being dumb. Do you guys, I honest to God can't remember any slut shaming. I think sometimes people act bashful, but I don't think anybody is ever like slut shamed. There is? Where? Fain AOC or AOC Fain? It would be AOC Fain. Fain is not a politician. So having him as the president on the top of the ticket would be weird. Isn't the vacation planet they always go to like a sex resort? No, but that's the thing. It's not, nobody there is like a prostitute. It's just where people go and they understand. They have like free love philosophy. It's very consent based, and it's oftentimes the people that are visiting the planet. It's not like these people are being paid to be sex workers. It's just like, Ryza is what happens when Epstein graduates from islands to planets. No, it's not. It's always consenting adults who have no hang-ups. Mike, I drew something for you in the fan art section. Okay, we'll have to talk about... Listen, we're watching AOC right now. How do we get off the track on this?
Corporate consolidation was allowed to run unchecked, and no more. And it happened while working people were told to work harder, wait longer, and expect less. But instead of addressing the real material needs of working people in this country, the Trump administration has chosen a different path. They have instead chosen the path of looting the public coffers to shovel it to an undeserving, connected, and corrupt few. And we should be very clear that there is a direct connection between the crackdown on our immigrant neighbors and all of our civil liberties and this president's corruption. But you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at this so-called big, beautiful bill that they passed last year. This is Trump's signature piece of legislation, A fake bill of goods sold to the American people as a plan to strengthen the economy, but it was a scam just like his steaks in his schools. It cut Medicaid by almost $1 trillion, the biggest cut to American health care in our history. It will cause closures of rural hospitals and emergency rooms across the country. It will endanger the lives of millions of Americans. And for what? To pay for tax cuts to the top 10% to the tune of $2.3 trillion over the next 10 years. And an extra $50,000 in tax cuts apiece on top of that to the top 1% in this country. And guess what else they did after looting our health care? They added $75 billion to ICE's budget, a 7-fold increase. All the while, and this will not be shocking to anyone in this room, companies like Palantir and Deloitte got paid $22 billion in federal contracts from that ICE budget just to fund Trump's immigration crackdown and for them to try to establish a national database that violates all of our civil rights. And that number...
I think the problem that people have is that AOC is exactly, I'm sorry, but I think she's the perfect representative of the millennial generation. And I think every millennial knows it deep in their bones. And like, there is some cringe there because millennials are cringe, but it's okay. We're okay with that. Sometimes we feel a little embarrassed about it, but we are cringe and we are earnest. And honest to God, I know that a lot of people think that I'm like the biggest AOC supporter in the planet, and I'm not even. That's the funny thing is I'm not. I'm just evaluating her objectively as I can. And the truth is, she manages to be both a person who represents the diversity of this country, while at the same time is so fully American. There's no essence of foreignness to AOC. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing about her, is not only is she radical or she's left wing, but she also just comes across as America's daughter. Like, she doesn't come across as like a foreign import, or you know what I mean? She seems legitimately one of us. She comes from us. There's no weirdness there. You know, you could say maybe she's a little earnest. Maybe she's a little dorky. Maybe she's a little cringe, you know, maybe a little bit awkward sometimes. It's all of us. And quite frankly, I think she does have a little bit of heat. And I think what made Bernie Sanders popular, the essence of what made Bernie Sanders someone who we all liked, is that there was a little bit of heat in his politics. It wasn't just about, oh, we need to be nicer. Oh, we need to be like helping each other, which is very important. And I'm not against. But there was also like, there is an enemy. And I think that AOC is learning that lesson, that it cannot just be about, our politics has to have two sides. What we want to do and name who's stopping us from doing it. And whenever you are successful, whenever you're able to do that, you will win. I went to school with a feisty Puerto Rican girl like her. She's homegrown and authentic. Okay, let's try not to say feisty when describing an entire group of people. But I get your point. It's a cultural thing. It's a Northeasterner thing. We are all feisty.
Doesn't even include the huge contracts those companies are getting in defense industry.
Is feisty bad? No, it's not that saying feisty is bad. But let me just put it to you another way. She's like the frugal Scottish. You're kind of trading on a little bit of a stereotype there. A little bit. I would say microaggression. Yeah, exactly. It's a little like, what do you mean feisty Puerto Rican? You're saying
budgets and anywhere else that the president is willing to grease their palms for their work. This is the Trump corruption scheme. But brothers and sisters, now is the time to demand our government stop serving only the powerful and well-connected. We demand this because we do have power in this moment. All of us do. Everyday people do. From the very beginning, the American experiment rested on a simple idea: that no one institution could actually preserve democracy on its own. In the end, it would always depend on the people, all of us, organized and unwilling to submit to the tyranny of concentrated power. Time after time, we've seen how our government and laws are more responsive to lobbyists than to the will of everyday people and voters. But we can bring that time to an end. We know that a better world is possible. So how will we get there? And to answer that, I want to recall a memory and tell you about the time I spent with UAW Local 2250 out in Wentzville, Missouri. I walked in and met their local president, Katie. Is Katie here? No, but 2250 is here, is that right? We headed out to Wentzville, Missouri, and this is a place where our labor rights have been under attack for a very long time, surrounded by red politicians from the bottom of the ballot all the way to the top. And people had no idea what I was doing flying out there. But we were organizing in September 23 as the stand-up strike was starting up. And as we walked in to that warehouse that we were gathered, thin walls, people packed inside, hundreds of people, believing in what seemed like then an impossible dream. People of all ages, their kids, adults, people from all backgrounds coming in, and they were firing each other up. The walls of this place were shaking. People were so excited to support one another. And everyday people were gathered together, risking everything to make their lives better and to make the lives of people they would never meet better. And that scene was playing out in communities across this country about fighting back when no one thinks you can win, about going places that no one thinks you can belong. Am I right, Chattanooga? But I want to end today with what I shared from the podium on that day in Wentzville, which is that we started this whole gathering today by pledging allegiance to that flag right there. And that flag means something, UAW. That flag is our flag. The flag of the United States of America, whose red stands for the valor of Americans, including the labor activists who died and spilled blood so that we could have a weekend and health care and dignified wages in this country. The white stands for purity of our intent and commitment to one another as Americans and as human beings. The white is the purity of our unity, UAW, the purity of our love for our fellow man. The blue stands for justice and vigilance for one another. But this flag doesn't mean those things just because someone said it. This flag means those things because we do it, because we dedicate ourselves and live up to it with our actions. That's what makes this flag mean something. We do not pledge allegiance to Wall Street, UAW. We don't pledge allegiance to greed. We pledge allegiance to no one president. We pledge allegiance to a nation, our nation, the United States of America, to the betterment of all people. Because when you organize, UAW, when you strike, when you stand together for each other, you pour meaning into that flag. You make it mean something to everybody. The stand-up strike showed us the way forward. UAW is showing us the way forward, and solidarity is the way forward. And as you all line up your contracts nationwide, May 1st, 2028 is the way forward, UAW. You are showing all working people of this nation that the only way to change the tide in an economy that is built for the 1% is if working people of all backgrounds and difference come back together and take it. It needs to be ours because we have no other choice but to win. Thank you so much, and I'll see you out in the streets.
I think it's very clear what's happening, chat. And to me, this is a very exciting possibility. It's a very exciting future, which is very clear to me that AOC is going to be the progressive candidate for president. I don't think there's any question that that's what's going to happen. I think if you put any energy into anyone else, you are fooling yourself. I guess, you know, the centrists see it coming too, and they're trying to push her into running for Senate. Like, the centrists see her coming and they're like, please run for the Chuck Schumer's Senate seat. And the reason is because right now, the anti-establishment energy is stronger than ever. And the discreditization of the mainstream Democratic Party is incredible. And if she doesn't run in 2028, when's she going to run again? Because the Democrats have a very good chance of winning. And if they win, they're going to install what? Gavin Newsom? He's going to double down on centrism. And the Democratic Party support level is going to go to fucking -50. It's going to, and then hyper Nazi is going to win. We don't have the ability to go through another 12-year cycle before we get a progressive chance. Like, that's what will happen. Unless AOC runs right now, it's going to be 12 years before, in the best case scenario, that we have another like progressive wing era. Because guess what? You think people are going to want to, like, let's imagine that Gavin Newsom wins. Well, if he wins, then he's running for re-election. And the Democrats are going to close ranks around him. He's going to install all these anti-left politicians and activists and bureaucrats in the Democratic Party. They're going to be working with AIPAC to primary every progressive out of office. The Democratic Party is going to be profoundly unpopular as the massive disruptions occur to our economy. So best case scenario, we run again, like 8 years from now. I mean, 8 years from 2028. So like, there's just no, it would be utterly ridiculous to have anybody else. The number of Liv pundit I've seen whine that she can't win as president because of a woman color has been insane and utterly absurd. Yes, they want you to call them racist because they are being racist. And then they want to go, oh God, the wokes are calling everybody racist. So they're doing racist shit to bait you into calling them racist. And so when somebody says AOC can't win because she's a woman or she's a brown person or whatever, just reply and say, I don't think that Shapiro can win, the governor of Pennsylvania, because he's a virulent Zionist. I don't think Gavin Newsom can win because he's a virulent Zionist. And just change the subject. Just go on the attack. Don't be defensive. Don't call them racist, right? Like, just go on the attack against one of their favorite centrists. Oh, they're a Zionists, and 90% of them, and start talking about how 90% of Democrats hate Zionism. Don't go defensive, go offensive. Also, don't make it about your vote. There's two topics that centrists are trying to trap you into because it's a perpetual circle and it'll never end. The first is that AOC can't win because she's a brown woman, that's bait to get you to call them racist. And then they'll say, listen, you're calling me racist. You're being woke. And that's why you alienate people. And I just want to stop Trump. And it doesn't seem like your values are stopping Trump. So you're trying to push this candidate who can't win. So they're going to do that. So just see that coming and ignore the point. It's a dumb fucking point. It's a dumb fucking point. Who gives a shit about that point? Don't feel like you have to respond to that point. Make your own point because you can't disprove that. You know what I mean? Like, they're just saying a racist thing. It's not based on facts. It's not based on polling. It's not based on evidence. They're just saying a racist thing to say a racist thing. What is asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. I feel like calling them racist doesn't change their ingrained biases and won't influence their vote at all, that much, if at all. Exactly. That's why you ignore it. They want you to call them racist. They're trying to be like, oh, the wokes are being so woke again. The wokes are being so woke, they just won't stop being woke. So when you call someone who's being racist, they're not gonna address your point. They're just gonna say, see, this is why AOC can't win. You have a good faith criticism of her candidacy and everyone calls you racist and everybody's so tired of that woke shit. That's what they're trying to bait you into. You're serving the function of the purity testing villain. All right. So don't play their game. Don't get trapped in their dumb game. Nobody gives a fuck. So don't do it. Don't do it. Put them on the ground they don't want to defend. Talk about Zionism and how unpopular it is. Talk about Josh Shapiro being a virulent Zionist and everybody's going to hate us guts. Talk about how Gavin Newsom bent the knee to Ben Shapiro and to Charlie Kirk in a humiliating fashion. Talk about how California has seen their population decline for the first time under Gavin Newsom. He's one of the most unsuccessful governors in California history. He blew up an $80 billion surplus and turned it into a deficit while the quality of life in California went down. That's how you talk about the centrists. Don't talk about the centrists and the terms and then in the ways they want you to. Just attack them in a place where they're uncomfortable. Alyssa Mercante is going to win her lawsuit. Oh, we might have to look at that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Fox News is panicking about China maxing. And I'm here for it.
A hearing to look into claims that foreign actors may be secretly influencing U.S. nonprofits. A report alleging that the far-left group Democratic Socialists of America has foreign ties that are working to undermine federal authorities under the guise of protests, saying they found, quote, the DSA's rhetoric matches the anti-U.S. propaganda of foreign adversaries.
Notice something very interesting here. One, this is supposed to be a news show. They don't quote the arguments that are being made by DSA. They don't quote the arguments that are supposedly anti-U.S. propaganda. 3, they don't say how they're wrong or incorrect, actually or otherwise. It's just a hand wave. This is the propaganda that Americans get. Do you see how much it insults their intelligence? And why young people are rebelling against the efforts of the boomer generation and the capitalist class to make us hate China? And how we're like, why? Why should we hate China? I know a lot of Chinese people. They're awesome. I've known Chinese people since I went to law school in 2013. There were some Chinese students there that I made friends with. They were very nice people. They were normal. Any kind of idea about China being some sort of hostile threat was completely annihilated through my own personal experiences. And China can look at our country and criticize it. You know, when they're able to, like, and here's the thing, whether you like it or not, they were able to build 30,000 miles of high-speed rail, 31,000 miles of high-speed rail in their country since 2008. America has not been able to build one line of high-speed rail from Los Angeles to San Francisco. There are literally 500 plus flights a day between Los Angeles and San Francisco. We can't build one railroad. And that is the reality. America is now non-functional. Our government is now non-functional. It is just a place where people steal money. So is that propaganda or is that a fair analysis? Is that propaganda or is that factual? So if you're going to do a news show, Fox News, can you explain what the arguments are? But the way that conservatives in America think, the right-wingers, the Republicans especially, and a lot of Democrats too, if you're watching this from not America, you should understand that the centrist Democrats are like this as well, is they just use China as a stand-in for bad. They don't even bother explaining why China is bad.
Xi Van Fleet, a survivor of Mao's revolution, joins me now. And the report goes on to state the documented facts support recommending a limited fact-finding FARA investigation to clarify the nature of DSA's relationships with Venezuelan and Cuban government-linked entities and its engagement with political environments involving the People's Republic, China. So
all right, so basically what they're trying to do is criminalize disagreeing with attacking Venezuela's sovereignty, which is a violation of the United Nations Charter, a violation of America's commitments that it's made both in international and domestic law. The blockade of Cuba, which is completely unprovoked imperialist expansionism, where the United States is leveraging the fact. Can you imagine if China did the exact same shit we're doing to Cuba to Taiwan? I want you to imagine that China did the exact same shit we're doing to Cuba, but did it to Taiwan. And the difference is Cuba is a completely separate country. Taiwan is part of China. And that's not my opinion. That's the opinion of the U.S. State Department. We have a one China policy. That's also the opinion of the Taiwanese Constitution. So if anything, if China did the exact same shit we're doing to Cuba, it would be more justifiable under international law, but they're not. And so if you dissent from America imperializing and terrorizing the Cuban people, well, then that means that you are a foreign spy, I guess, because according to Republicans and the fascist war hawks in America, being anti-war, being anti-aggression means you're not American. To them, being a warmonger is the essence of being American.
Are foreign adversaries, namely China, actively behind the push towards socialism here in the U.S.?
Yes, absolutely. You see it everywhere. And then the recent thing is what's trending is called China Medicine. Even though it's basically, you see it on the TikTok, but I also see it on X. And that is.
Okay, I'm sorry, but somebody who's basically paid to be a propagandist against the country they fled, I need to know, okay, is this woman a member of a cult? Let's be honest. Who is this? I don't know. I'm honestly just investigating. What's her name? They don't say her name. Okay, G Van Fleet. Is that her name? Okay, we found her. Okay, she doesn't have a Wikipedia page. I only see her in like weird propaganda places. I'm trying to find her. She doesn't even have a Wikipedia. She was able to go to college to study English and has lived in the United States since 1986. She delivered a school board speech in London County, Virginia against critical race theory. Her mission is to wield the power of words against Marxist, Leninist, Maoist, Xiist totalitarianism and to challenge Western leftist ideology while advancing American conservative political philosophy within the Chinese-speaking world. Also, they say she up here, but then he say he down here. Oh, okay. Sorry. This is a different guy. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a different. I misread. Edit this out, chat. Okay. G Van Fleet was born in China, lived through the Cultural Revolution, was sent to work in the countryside at the age 16. After Mao's death, she was able to go to college to study English and lived in the United States since 1986. Wait a minute, chat. She learned English in a Chinese college for free, and then she's now using that to attack China? Since going public with her message, G Van Fleet has appeared on Fox News, Newsmax, and radio shows. So she has no expertise in China whatsoever. She hasn't been in China since 1986, and she's being a conservative grifter. This is who Fox News is bringing on? Who does? I mean, okay, listen. I'm going to be honest with you, chat. I consider this to be treason. I consider this to be weird fucking treason. You have to be a weird piece of shit to get a free college education from your country, then leave your country for a richer country, and then spend your life arguing for war and on your former country, on your homeland. Like, that is fucking weird. You are evil. You are fucking evil. This is her latest argument. The student ICE walkouts are a troubling reminder of how revolutionaries are made. You're an immigrant. You're a fucking immigrant. You're arguing in favor of fascist immigration policy. You're an immigrant. And as far as I can tell, you haven't produced a goddamn thing but propaganda. Unlike the BLM and pro-Hamas protests. Oh, you're also a supporter of Israel. Every single one of these conservative grifters supports the Israeli genocide. So even if you thought they might have some sort of fucking like legitimate point, you can realize that it's all just grift because they also support what Israel is doing to the innocent children of Gaza. How come I mean, of course they are evil. Of course they're evil. A treasonous, evil rat, a person of pure filth, disgusting. I mean, I don't know how, I don't know what to say. I can barely hold back. That's crazy.
Is absolutely bears the hallmark of CCP's publicity department and United Front Work Department operations. The first one is about propaganda. The second one is about influence. And influence work is something that CCP is expert of. They will capture the elite. In this case, they capture a lot of the influencers in social media, especially in TikTok. And most of the people who are influenced have no idea that they are the target. And some, of course, they do because they get paid handsomely. And one of the examples is Hassan Piker. He went to China for
Hassan Piker! Oh my God! This is such bullshit! Hassan from Hong Kong is getting mentioned and not me? This is so fucking bullshit. God damn it. I didn't even know he was in there. Notice that they didn't talk about I Show Speed. Notice they didn't talk about I Show Speed. They're too scared of Speed's reach. They're too scared to take on I Show Speed. The Hassan derangement syndrome. I didn't even know he was in here. Oh my God. God damn it. Here's who she says the worst immigrants to America were. what is the most consequential unvetted immigration? It's not Ilhan Omar, not Jean Wu. They were the group of refugees escaping the anti-Semitism in Nazi Germany. How are you in 1986 an immigrant and you don't know how to say anti-Semitism? The infamous Frankfurter School communist theorists, after settling in the heart of the American intellectual world, Columbia University in the mid-1930s, they developed what became known as American cultural Marxism, later rebranded as woke ideology, deliberately adapted for the American context. Many of the radical anti-American movements we are confronting today are downstream effects of that ideology, including the views held by Ilhan Omar and Jean Wu. I gotta say, and I mean this with every fiber of my being, this traitor should be removed from this country. You are literally, she's literally repeating Nazi talking points. Literally repeating Nazi talking points. I don't know how else to put it. Sorry for looking to the side here for a second. These are Nazi talking points. Cultural Marxism, they called it Judeo-Bolshevism. And they specifically talked about how it was a conspiracy to undermine the strength of the German nation with degenerate Jewish ideas, basically. I don't know what to say other than this woman is a Nazi fascist. And it is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And I mean, this woman is a traitor. I think, like, I honestly, and this is going to sound harsh, I think she shouldn't. Why should she be allowed to be in this country? She's coming into this country and she's saying that Jews who fled the Nazis deserve to die and they caused damage to this country. Excuse me? DEI fascism? This is, okay, this is so fucking funny. Holy shit, this is so fucking funny.
And one of the examples is Hassan Piker. He went to China for 2 weeks and come back, a Chinese, now leading the China magazine on the social media. But there is a more important question to ask. Why the Chinese influence be able to capture...
This is bullshit! I've been leading China Maxing forever! I've been the leader of China Maxing! I've been the leader of China Maxing! He's Hassie from Hong Kong! He loves capitalism! He's a millionaire! I called my channel Central Committee. I didn't call it Hasanabi. Why are you not attacking me as the China Maxer? This is bullshit! I want to be the Falun Gong enemy. What the fuck? Mike from Chongqing. That's right. I want to see 24th century socialism. This is such bullshit. I've had to be like the and by the way, chat, show the clips. Chat, show the clips of Hassan saying that I glaze China more than him. Show me the fucking clips. Back me up, chatters. But Mike, you've never been to China.
The American audience, the young people especially. And I think it is really because of the educational system.
I think you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
But you mentioned China Maxing, and you kind of given a little detail on it. I want to explain a little bit more to the audience of what China Maxing is. You mentioned it's on TikTok. It's the newest craze. And basically, it's young Americans romanticizing and glamorizing living in communist China. Quote, China Maxing isn't just a lifestyle trend. Many of the young influencers praising Chinese culture are actively denigrating America. They're aesthetically, morally, and politically defecting to another superpower.
Okay, first of all, oh my God, if you were a Chinese nationalist. Now, you know what my biggest fear is, chat? My biggest fear of the future, if I'm being completely honest with you, it's not that China's going to win. It's that China's going to win by so much that Chinese supremacy is going to grow. Like, this is the concern. It's like whenever a system wins or a nation wins by so much, they start to think that they're better than other people because of the essence, like their genes or some shit. That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of like Chinese right-wing nationalism growing, because if they actually like, you spend some time in China and then you visit LA, you're going to be like, ew, why don't they just take care of the homeless? Like, why do they act so poor here? Why don't they fix the streets? The rich drive on the streets too. Why are the streets fucking terrible? So the big fear of the 21st century is not whether China or America wins. We all know it's going to be China. The real fear is, will socialism maintain its grip? Will the idea of internationalism and the idea that all people are equal, will that survive? the Chinese complete and total victory. That's what scares me. Is a right-wing China is what scares me. That's what could actually end the human race, is a China that is supremacist. My fear is the US would rather end the world than have China be number one. I mean, that's also a factor.
And she, as somebody who lived and fled the Mao Revolution, what's your message to those who romanticize communism, especially young Americans who grew up here with every advantage in the world, now saying, I want to live under communist rule? What's your message to them?
Yeah, my message is you have to learn history. We have to teach our children real history. And
so in other words, her lesson is we have to teach people lies and propaganda. How could you have a video on China maxing and not show any of the things that are happening? Why are people saying that? There's no effort to even... This is how you know it's right-wing thought, because one of the things that right-wingers do is never actually analyze what's happening. They only talk in conclusions and then how to enforce their conclusions on you. So it is about teaching the party line and then threatening to enforce the party line and the people that don't agree. There's no attempt to talk to you like an adult who deserves input. And this is why most conservatives are peasant brained. Conservatives are peasant brained in their essence because they are peasants looking for orders. They want to take orders.
I watched a few podcasts about this topic. They say, Chinese people and we are the same people. It is cool to learn their culture. It's not cool. Chinese people are different from American people.
You're Chinese! You're Chinese! Do you see the essence of why right-wing thought is fucking insane? Do you see the essence of why Chinese thought is batshit fucking crazy? They're out there saying, hey, guys, you're Chinese. That means you're different than human beings from America. America has a large population of people that are Chinese. I don't know what else to say. It's fucking insane. It's creepy. Honestly, I am creeped out by this. I feel like a weird sense in my gut where I'm just like, you're Chinese and you're trying to tell white boomer Americans on Fox News that Chinese people are not the same. You don't think that's gonna? What an evil witch.
These people are not free. And this is something that we have to teach our young kids. And this is not about learning another culture. This is about rejecting our value, our culture, and it is, as you said, romanticize communism. I have to say that they have to know the young people in today's China facing the collapse of the economy, they choose to lay flat. What it means, they stop pursuing career because there's nothing to pursue. And they decided not to become a consumer because there's no money to spend. And they decided not to get married and not have children because they don't see any future. And these people will trade places with American youth at a heartbeat.
Such a great point.
Okay, that's not true at all. Yes, there are problems in China. The economy is changing rapidly. The world is changing rapidly. That is the nature of the epoch known as capitalism, is rapid change. And it's hard to really anticipate just how the world is going to change. And as an individual, it's hard to keep up. That's what capitalism does. But the difference is if you're an American and you try to improve yourself and you go to college, you get put into tens of thousands of dollars of debt. I can tell you 5-10 years ago, people were telling people, learn to code, go to school, get a computer science degree, learn to code, and you'll make big money. Now, people are graduating with CS degrees from top universities with $100,000 in debt, and they can't find a job. They listened to the advice that people like you, conservatives, used to say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But in America, they make you borrow money to get those bootstraps. In America, trying to improve your life is punished unless you're lucky. And fewer and fewer Americans are able to even afford a home. You know, the average age of a home buyer in America is now 60. First-time home buyer share falls to a historic low of 21%. Median age rises to 40. But the average age of a home buyer is now, that's a first-time buyer, 40 years old, first-time buyer. That's the age of a first-time buyer, meaning a person has gone to the age of 40 without ever buying a home. And gifts and loans from family and friends are a quarter of the money they're using to get the loan. So the only people that are able to get loans are people that have money already or borrow it from family or get a gift from family. The average age of a repeat buyer is now 62 years old. 30% were all cash buyers. So in other words, the only people that are able to afford a home in America are the very wealthy. And the median age, meaning if you have a curve of all the people who bought a home in America, and you said, what is the person that sits in the middle? How old is the person in the middle? It's 59 years old. I don't know about you, chat, but if you're a young person in China, you cannot afford a home in America. This is why our child rearing is crashing, because people cannot even leave their home. They can't leave their parents' home. They don't have independence. They're dragged down by debt. They can't get ahead. So she's saying how people would trade places to come to America. Maybe that was true 15 years ago, but today, I think that's a foolish trade.
Homes keep getting more affordable, and prices have fallen 42 of the past 45 months. How do they plan on catching up with the United States' homelessness rate if they keep this up? Their lobster is too buttery. Their steak is too fucking juicy. They have over 90% homeownership rate. This is a dire and imminent crisis. They will collapse any day. Bad news. China's homes keep getting more affordable.
I mean, Donald Trump said straight up he doesn't want houses to get more affordable. Can someone find me a clip? Here's what the clip is. Donald Trump says he doesn't want housing to get more affordable. He wants the prices to go up for the people who already own their own home. Because if you make homes cheap, well, then that's going to hurt people that already own a home. So he wants the prices of home to go up. Now, I personally agree with Xi Jinping when he says a home is for living in, not for speculation. That is what I believe.
I'm going to ask Scott Turner to speak really quickly about housing because, in my opinion, I have very strong opinions.
Oh, hold on. This might be a shorter clip. That's a 5-minute clip. I don't want to watch full 5 minutes.
Again, existing housing, people that own their homes, we're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. We're going to make it easier to buy. We're going to get interest rates down. But I want to protect the people that for the first time in their lives feel good about themselves. They feel like that they're wealthy people. And I want them to understand it. There's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen. One of the things Scott said, though, is...
I mean, there it is. There it is. Donald Trump wants you to die. And it's not only that. I don't know if you guys saw this today, but they were proposing making it tax-free for boomers to own homes. They want to eradicate taxes on boomers, but keep taxing millennials. This is true. This is a proposal that was made. California ballot proposal would exempt seniors from paying property taxes. They want to make it so that boomers who bought their houses for $70K and whose house is now worth $2 million don't pay any taxes at all. Supporters say such a move would help seniors stay in their homes, but critics warn it could, on the contrary, devastate local government budgets. We see the movement happening across the country, says Rishi Kumar. There are 16 states that have already done something to address the angst of seniors. Guys, there is a class war going on, and it's a generational war.
We have to teach our children.
Yeah, such a great point.
To love America. This is the crisis.
Yeah, if you think the grass is always greener.
Don't love America.
Yeah, if you think the grass is always greener on the other side, I mean, to your point, Xi, talk to those Chinese youth. They're not loving it over there under communist rule right now themselves. No. So the Americans should pay attention to that. Xi Van Fleet, thanks for your insight. Important that Americans wake up, and you're getting the word out there. We thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
I mean, this is pure slop, idiotic slop, and it's embarrassing. So what are people seeing when they say China Max? What exactly are they saying? Let me just search something like China high-speed rail. This is what they're seeing.
Look at how impressive it is that China has built their own high-speed rail system in under 15 years that now stretches across the entire country. Most of the most densely populated parts of China now have access to high-speed rail. The network is both dense and extensive, reaching as far west as Central Asia to Urumqi in Xinjiang province, and also with tons of connections up in Manchuria. The only issue with this, though, is that because they built them so fast and because it took so much debt to be able to finance all of these, they are now facing a huge cascade of problems. For example, the China State Railway Group has accrued a debt of $900 billion on the construction of this massive railway system.
By the way, chat, just to give you context, 15 years to do that, 1 year of the Pentagon is $988 billion, funnily enough. They have a high-speed rail network of 31,000 miles, and it costs the same as 1 year of the Pentagon. The other thing is, the Chinese railway makes money. It pays its own debt. So there is a lot of debt, but it's paying it back. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a thing called inflation. And so every year, the value of that debt in relative resource claiming terms is going to go down because they have very low interest loans on the railway system. Not only is it not expended, like we spend trillions and trillions of dollars on roads and then that money goes away. They spend $1 trillion on the high-speed rail, and they keep collecting fares that pays back the debt. That's what's so weird about this. Capitalists look at this railway system and go, oh, is it making money right now? And the question is, do you ask the same thing about I-95? Is I-95 profitable? No, you look at I-95 for what it is. It is infrastructure that enables the economy to grow faster.
It's also not paying for itself. It's not profitable.
That's actually not true. That's actually not true. Let's see if I can find this. Net profit. Here it is. The 2009 net profit was $3.9 billion. So not only, like, it's right here. Chinese State Railway Group reported a 2024 net profit of 3.9 billion won, returning to profitability after years of pandemic-induced losses. Not only, and it's citing profits recover. It's Nikkei Asia. It's right here. This is what it's citing. China railway debt climbs even higher as profits recover. So in other words, they're paying down their debt. They're paying down their debt. This is from last year. So it's not true. This guy is wrong. I mean, maybe he's wrong because he posted, that's from a 2024, so it's wrong. So this is from 2025. So maybe he was reporting the old numbers. But the reality is, they've built all this railway and they actually make money after paying back the debt. That's what's insane. So instead of having to have expended $1 trillion, they borrowed it and they're paying it back while also still having 39,000 miles of high-speed rail. Is this China maxing? Please show me a better China maxing video.
Grocery price again. It's cold. It's winter. You know how lazy I am. And look, last night just snowed. But okay. Okay, now I put on this down jacket, big one, $15, and my $10 shoes. Let's go.
Because capitalism is fancy, so everything in capitalism is more expensive compared to our socialism. I take this taxi, it costs me 80 cents to get where I shopping in my neighborhood. 80 cents dollar. Everything I'm going to say the price is in dollars, so easy for you to compare. Because it's winter time, so the grocery price is like a triple and a double compared to summertime. All the vegetable and the fruits, the price is under $1 for half kilogram. Some are $half, half kilogram. Some are $1/4, half kilogram. The reason we have so many different vegetables in our grocery market is because in Chinese cuisine, we have many ways to cook vegetables. We barely eat salad. These are fresh porks. The price is like $1.5 half kilogram. I heard online that in Taiwan, the capitalism system, the price is also expensive. Many people complain they cannot afford grocery in Taiwan, China. Well, again, because capitalism is so fancy, so everything going to be more expensive compared to our lame socialism. I'm being sarcastic, okay? In case someone didn't understand me. Okay, here's more fruits. It's just under $1, most of them. Also, I think capitalism is so nice. They don't want people to be lazy, so they make everything expensive. So you have to work hard to survive. But in our socialism, people like me, I'm so damn lazy. I cannot survive in capitalism. I have to stay in China. That is the reason I gave up my green card, moved back to China, and I don't want to ever go back to the United States ever again. I got a mental abuse there. Here's some fried stuff, some chicken, some meatballs, I don't know the name in English. And here's so many different pickles, garlic pickles, eggplant pickles, kimchi, just pickles. And here is some frozen dumplings, handmade frozen dumplings. It's very good. I bought a few times from there. And here is some snacks, cakes, and here's different sausage. I love sausage. My hometown sausage is very good. Chicken feet price is like $4 for half kilogram. Chicken feet is expensive in China. Pig feet, pig tongues, this kind of unpopular meat in Western country, but in China, the price is higher than pig meat. Well, if you are poor in China, you cannot afford to buy pig feet, pig tongues. It's okay. You can eat normal meat in China. Okay, quite boring, just normal stuff. You have it, we have it, everybody has it. The only difference is the price is lower here. And these are the outside market. At night, after they get after work, they just leave everything here. No one gonna steal. Okay, I'm going back home. It's so cold. My hands was frozen. I forgot to.
So that's another factor that I think a lot of people in Western countries don't realize is that people don't steal your shit in China. They just don't steal your shit. And like when you hear that, you're like, wait a minute, really? And it's like, no, people do not worry about getting their stuff stolen. If you lose stuff, you can go to the cops and they'll help you find it. Can you imagine losing your coat and then going to the cops in America and being like, hey, can you help me find your coat? They'd shoot you with a gun. How dare you interrupt their Candy Crush playing at Dunkin' Donuts? We saw something recently about like, I saw a video where somebody was like, they made a video. Is this it? Is China safe enough to leave your stuff unattended on the street?
And I want to see how safe it actually is here. So I'm going to take this tablet, I'm going to leave it this e-bike while I go on a day trip today. And we're going to see if it's still here when I come back at the end of the day.
All right, so first things first is we hopped on the subway. Nice thing about living in Shanghai is honestly you're pretty well connected to most of the places in like eastern China, which is cool. So we came to this little town called Zhujiajiao. I don't know. Chinese people in the comments, feel free to roast my pronunciation. It's filled with bridges. It's like the Venice of China or something. There's a few different places that are called the Venice of China, but in many aspects, this is like, it feels like a bunch of locals still live here. Like it's not some tourist trap sort of joint, even though there are like these cat cafes that are honestly pretty cute. But there's also like these really beautiful temples that are old and have a bunch of history. This one's a Taoist temple. There's even this room in the back where there was an African guy, a South Asian guy, an East Asian guy, and of course a white guy holding a sword, which I thought was hilarious. They have these costume rental stores where you can rent different costumes from local ethnic minority groups here in China, which is kind of neat. Of course, there are antique stores where you can buy pictures of Chairman Mao. This is me trying to be an influencer, taking photos and selfies. It was really beautiful. I wish it had been a little bit sunnier, but honestly, I was kind of shocked. It looks busy here, but this is like the national holiday week here in China, where you see photos and videos of places all over China filled with people. And all things considered, this wasn't that busy. Of course, they had the nasty, like, touristy stuff you could buy, like scorpions or whatever to eat. Every other store was a La Biu Biu store, which was kind of funny. But the river was pretty wide at points. Honestly, it was really pretty. It blew my expectations out of the water. For lunch, we got some sort of like pork chashu thing wrapped in some sort of banana leaf, and it was delicious. After lunch, we went to a garden to digest, and I think the admission was like $3 or something. It was totally worth it. I was shocked at how big it was and how beautiful it was despite the sort of overcast weather. Seemingly every sign in China is super poetic, like this one. The architecture of some of the buildings here was crazy. In addition to this like weird sort of like rock cave thing that they had, we climbed up that and then we practiced using their doorways. Oh yeah, there's more poetry above the urinals. Then of course there was another big grandiose temple, and we finished the day off with a bit of mishwe. We rounded off the day by seeing some guys fishing in the pond by the train station, and all things considered, it was a beautiful day. So now of course the big moment of truth is the iPad still there.
And it is. It's 7:03 p.m. We left around noon. So 7, almost 8 hours, tablet's still there.
If I put the tablet outside my door, it wouldn't be there in 5 minutes. Wow, a hipster white guy who moved to China has a Chinese girlfriend. What a stereo. Okay, shut the fuck up, man. Can I speak about woke anti-miscegenation that's been happening more and more? I've been seeing a lot of woke anti-miscegenation takes, where people are like super fucking weird online about people dating other people. Bro, just because you're an incel or a femcel, just keep it quiet. All right, button your lip. Button your fucking lip. It's such a Gen Z thing that's coming back. It's part of their conservative brain poisoned by plastics and too much time on the algo, where they get like all fired up because they're lonely, and instead of doing anything about it, they like post weird comments about other people dating. It's very fucking weird. And I'm so tired of incels and femcels, honestly. Worst type of people in my opinion. It's just like, stop it. A lot of people hate on Jacob Bake for that. People are just jealous incels. Yes, they are. It's very fucking weird. New York City, the time has arrived. Finally a chance to tell the city exactly what your landlord's been getting away with. NYC's first rental ripoff hearings are happening in all 5 boroughs. And we want to hear from you. Real New Yorkers, real stories, real policy changes. The American land reform movement needs to occur. Inject it into my veins. Let's fucking go. And then people will be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're bullying landlords for breaking the law, for breaking their lease contract. You fucking peasant. If I'm paying my rent on time, you are to perform the contract. That's the way it goes. Just like if I don't pay my rent, I get thrown out onto the fucking street.
Speed, it's my absolute pleasure to have you come to Chongqing because
the Speed, the Chinese Trump guys seems pretty cool. I have to say, like, the best thing of the last 2-3 years has been the demystification of China. You know, like it's been really heartwarming for me to see people finally see what I saw so many years ago, where people could just be like, oh, Chinese people are cool. China's a cool country. It's really nice over there. Is it perfect? No. Are there things I disagree with? Yes. Overall, it's one of the best countries in the world, and they're really humble. That's the thing that's kind of crazy about China. If you read Chinese government analysis of China, if you look at China from the perspective of, you know, a Chinese person, they have humility. And I think maybe I'm just so tired of the bombastic Trumpism, you know, that it's so refreshing to see a country say, hey, we aren't the best at this. How do we get better? When you tell an American that we're not the best at X, Y, and Z thing, the first thing they're instinctively want to do is start crashing out about how America is the greatest country in the world. You blah, 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 blah. Thank you, Open Presents, for the 100 gifted subs. You're the best. And like, I think I've just been so heartened to see a country where they have so many tangible improvements. They can look around and feel pride. Where can I look around and feel pride in my country? Right? Like, tell me where to look around and feel pride. I'm asking you. Oh, we got a new report about jobs in this country. How's that going?
One thing I want to note, the jobs report's going to come out tomorrow. Yeah. We have to revise our expectations down significantly for what a monthly job number should look like. When we were letting in 2 million illegal aliens, they're coming in. We had to produce 200,000 jobs a month for steady state. And by the way, all of the jobs that we were creating in Biden years were going to illegals. Americans were going to the unemployment lines. That's totally reversed. And now 50,000 a month is going to be more like what we need. So Wall Street, when this stuff comes out, they can't rain on that parade. They have to adjust for the fact that we're deporting millions of illegals.
That's a good
out
point.
Of our job market.
But it sounds like you're expecting a weak number tomorrow.
No, not expecting a weak number. I'm just saying that going forward, when we see a number under 100,000, we don't wring our hands. We say, yeah, that's going to be steady state.
Peter, great to see you.
It's all good, Maria. Always great to be with you.
Thank you so much for being here, Peter, and for your analysis always. Peter Navarro in Washington. We'll be right back.
So in other words, because of the ICE immigration, and by the way, that's what them hiring a bunch of guys for ICE. So the amount of government jobs they're putting out for ICE agents is gangbusters, right? They're hiring like 6 times as many guys. And even with that government subsidy, the jobs numbers are shit. How does deportation stop more jobs from being created? Oh, that's a very good question. The answer is that immigrants are good for the economy. Immigrants are good for the economy. You may not know this, but they actually improve the economy because the average immigrant is an adult of working age, and adults of working age produce more than they consume. And so when immigrants come into the country, they cause the economy to grow. And actually, the right-wing Cato Institute just put out a immigration report just last week, and it said that immigrants reduced the deficit by 14.5 trillion since 1994. So this is another way of saying that if it wasn't for immigrants, we would be in a lot more debt. And it's very relatively easy to understand why. If you look at what immigrants cost the budget versus what they produce, the blue line is the blue bars are the immigrant surplus. The yellow bar is what the country would have been like without immigrants. And so he's saying, hey, you got to get used to the economy not producing very many jobs now that we're deporting immigrants. And that's exactly what you would expect. I mean, it's part of why China is powerful. The reason why China is a powerful country is because they have a lot of population. People are the ultimate resource in a country. They're the ultimate source of value in a country. They are why the country does well. More people equals more power. All things being equal. There are other factors that affect how productive a person is. And this is pretty basic macroeconomics. And it's honestly common sense if you think about it. For example, there's something called human capital. What do we mean by that? We mean that, like, how trained are you? How educated are you? How healthy are you? And then, so you have population, you have what is the human capital, and then you have infrastructure. What is the built environment? How many factories do you have? What's the infrastructure connecting? What's the electrical grid? You know, what's the hospital system? Do sick people, do they stay sick longer, or are they treated and return to work faster? All of those factors add in. How's the financial system? Is it stable? How's the legal system? Is it predictable? Is it fair? Corrupt is the government. Are you able to make your life better, or do people steal your shit? All of those things factor together to how strong a country is. How's the immigration, how's the education system? How's the infrastructure? What's the training and skill level of the population? What is the population? Is the legal system fair? Is the political system corrupt? And when you have all those factors together, then you have how strong a country is. Also, chat, we can officially declare a socialist has won. Malinowski has conceded in the Democratic U.S. House special primary in New Jersey. Tom Malinowski conceded. A longtime progressive activist and former political director for Bernie Sanders. That's another socialist W. Another easy W. Fox News.
Up a House, the votes are still being counted, but a progressive candidate could be on the verge of picking up.
Can I just say that watching Fox News for their over-the-top coverage and their whining and crying makes me happier than almost any other coverage. Watching your enemies scrambling. Tom has promised to fight against any APAC challenger against Miha as well. I know, it's fucking great. Can I turn up the volume? I'm as loud as they can get.
Votes are still being counted, but Ana Lilia Mejia is locked in a tight race for so-called moderate Mikey Sherrill's seat in New Jersey, and even holds a slight. She has called to abolish ICE, cancel student loan debt, expand the Supreme Court, and it doesn't even end there. So let's bring in Saturday in America anchor Kayleigh McEnany. You know, we spent a lot of time talking about the uphill.
It's so funny when Fox
battle that
News
Republicans
tries to make you look bad.
There, so let's bring in Saturday in America anchor.
Like affordable child care, fair wages, Medicare for all, expand the Supreme Court, essential health care for trans people, free college and debt cancellation, abolish ICE, and tax the wealthy.
Kayleigh McEnany. You know, we spent a lot of time talking about the uphill battle that
I saw a video on Republican makeup, and it basically said that Republican makeup is just porn makeup. So you are looking at makeup that's intended to elicit a certain type of response from men, and when I saw it, I can't unsee it.
Republicans clearly have in the midterms because they control all levers of power in Washington, and that's always an uphill battle. But Democrats also have a real freaking problem on their hands.
They do. Mejia is a symptom of a bigger problem. There's an insurgency across the country of socialists. You see it here in New York, Mamdani. You see it in Seattle. Now you're seeing it in New Jersey. It's everywhere. And I believe in order to really understand this problem, you have to listen to what they're saying. And I spoke to Secretary Buttigieg last week, and I said, here, 66% of Democrats say socialism's good. What do you say to that? And he said, well, different things play in different places. He went on to say that he feels like it's name calling when we bring up socialism. But listen to what he did. He immediately pivoted to affordability. And that is how he's from a different wing of the party. But that's how these socialists are doing it. Affordability, they're bringing it up. It's working for them. I don't know if it'll work broadly in the midterms, but it's something that the GOP needs to key in on.
Let's play a clip of Mejia and what she wants to do.
I say abolish ICE now. You can't reform that. It's not fixable. Get it out. Kick it over. Forget it. Abolish ICE.
And of course, the DNC jumped the gun and tried to suggest that Tom Malinowski, who's a former member of Congress, had won. But, you know, clearly establishment Democrats don't want to have another one of these problems in their ranks.
All Democrats should not want this problem. Chuck Schumer reportedly has internal polling on his desk that shows voters do not want to abolish ICE. They may want changes.
By the way, chat, whatever your opposition is like giving you useful advice on how you can win, you know they're capping. You know they're lying. You know that they're saying shit. They're in a panic. Because, and by the way, the right knows this. The right knows that if the moment we get a really progressive candidate, that's why they're fixated on FDR. They understand that when somebody like FDR gets into power, that fundamentally transforms the political landscape. And they have been trying to fight against, and they've succeeded in avoiding another FDR for 100 fucking years. But it's too late. They got too greedy. The rich wanted too much. They got too arrogant. They got too alien. I mean, honest to God, you know what the rich are saying? The rich are saying that the human race needs to go extinct so that the AI, the next generation of like the next species can emerge out of the human race. Blah, 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 blah. When I look at the increasingly frequent reactions to the absurd politics within the United States, I personally come to the conclusion that this collapse may have been necessary for a society to finally realize that hyper-capitalism, which enables the super rich to become quasi-dictators, has to come to an end. I believe that could lead to something significantly better. Of course, that doesn't always make the current situation any easier. Yes, I mean, obviously. The rich are this way. They can never have enough. Elon Musk hitting $1 trillion is not suddenly going to become a humanitarian, right? He's not going to suddenly go, okay, I have more money than God. Now I'm going to start taking care of people. He doesn't care. And the number doesn't make him happy. He said as much last week. Money doesn't buy happiness. Frowny face. And the thing is, he's wrong. That's what's so funny about Elon Musk. He's wrong. We have very firm political science and economic science research. If you get more money up until like $150,000, $200,000, it is one of the best things you can do to increase your happiness. That's another way of saying when your life gets materially better and easier, you have an easier time achieving happiness. Now there's severe diminishing returns after about $150,000. After about $75,000 to $150,000, there's severe diminishing returns. And then once you start making millions, that extra money doesn't affect your happiness level at all.
They do not want abolition. That is not the message that will carry them forward to the promised land. And I would note the seat she's running for was inhabited by Mikey Sherrill, who was a closet leftist. And now she's out publicly calling them a Stasi-style police force, federal law enforcement. So she's not much better. She just says it a little more.
Here's the graph I use for that. So the richer a family gets, the smaller the reduction in negative emotions gained by the marginal dollar increase in household income. Gains disappear around $200,000. So what you make about $200,000, money is not going to make you any happier. Like, that's the facts. We know that. So that's why we have progressive taxes. When you make a lot of money, it's not helping you. And we can make a lot of other people very happy by giving them things like health care.
And it is remarkable how hard they try to claim that they're moderates when we clearly know that they're actually not.
They are not.
They are absolutely not. Okay, Kaylee.
Can money buy happiness? It's a question that's vexed humans for centuries. From the discontented kings of old to the sad, rich ambition demons surrounding me here in Manhattan. But no matter how many times it's posed in clickbait articles and pop science podcasts, we simply can't seem to find an answer. But I'm about to change that. I'm here at the happiest place on earth, Harvard Business School.
I was in this Ivied oasis to meet the man who both wrote a book and talked the TED on money and happiness.
Michael Norton is a professor here at Harvard Business School and a leading behavioral economics researcher. Let's see if he can teach me how to behave. Great to have you here.
Great to meet.
All right, or thank you for having us, rather.
Yeah.
With my characteristically smooth exchange of pleasantries out of the way, it was time to turn the screws on Professor Norton and get my answer.
How much money do I need to be happy?
How much do you have?
Not enough.
It's a tricky question, actually. So it's hard to know the exact dollar amount. But what we do know is when we ask people how much they think they need, they typically say 2 to 3 times as much as I have right now. But the weird...
Like, I can save you time. The video's experts say it's inconclusive. You will not get any value from this video.
Your children protected. I am grateful for this president who wants your children.
Criminal aliens. We have larceny and cocaine, drug trafficking, aggravated assault, sexual assault and sodomy, sex crimes against a child, and aggravated assault. So what we have right here, chat, is 12 people, and we're spending $175 billion. All right, let's finish this video, chat.
The thing is,
it's
we
only
can ask
10
people
minutes.
who have $50,000, and they say, if I only had 2 to 3 times more, I'd be perfectly happy. We can also ask people who have $3 million, and they also say, yeah, if I only had 2 to 3 times as much, I'd be happy.
Michael was saying a lot of numbers, that's for sure, but I still wasn't hearing a solid answer. I decided to give him one more try before I used my power to dismiss him with voiceover and move on to another interview with a smarter guy.
So lots of people have looked into the correlation, just straight up, how does money correlate with happiness? And one of the things that we did was we tried to do experiments. So we tried to give people money and have them go do stuff and then see which thing makes people happy and which thing doesn't make people happy. So we were trying to get at not so much how much you make in a year and how happy you are, but what you do with it. The first thing people think to do with money is spend it on themselves. And the problem is, if you look at the data, it's not that spending money on yourself makes you unhappy. It's really just there's not a strong relationship. If we say, have you ever felt happy when you give to charity or give to someone? People say, yeah. And then you say, have you done it lately? And they say, no.
What is a harder concept for business school students to grasp, happiness or giving people money?
I couldn't help but feel like me and Professor Norton simply weren't on the same page. I was explicitly asking him just how much money I needed to make to finally achieve happiness, and he wouldn't stop talking about giving money away. It made no sense. I needed to find someone with as impressive of credentials, but who would actually give me a hard number on which to set my sights.
There's a very famous paper that concluded that there was this plateau between money and happiness beyond around $75,000.
Now we're talking.
Viewers, are getting down to crunch time for Christmas gifts. But if you've been procrastinating, never fear. Daddy Dan is here to say, I am stronger than you.
That's a long ad.
Matt Killingsworth is a senior fella at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business, where he runs one of the world's largest studies on human happiness. Wharton is an institution of great history, and more importantly, a place where many people learn how to accumulate wealth until happiness oozes out of their pores and the pores of their progeny.
I ran this really big study that had a fantastic measure of kind of the levels of happiness that people experience, and I saw no evidence for a plateau at all. It just keeps going up, modestly but very steadily.
These squirrely academics wouldn't stop overcomplicating the issue. but I could play their game too.
You found that money and happiness have a logarithmic relationship. Is that different than a polyamorous relationship?
Maybe you could combine them.
I've tried. So
maybe you just need to earn more money, and then you can see what you can put together.
But when you describe a logarithmic relationship, what is it? Is this what you're talking about?
Yes.
It's a big word for me.
So if you plot this out, you could imagine happiness, and then you have money. A logarithmic basically means we're going up in proportional increments. So you could imagine each of these hash lines being a doubling of income. What we used to think was happening is that happiness rises up to around this level, happiness rises, and then doesn't really improve. And essentially what I've found is that this part is basically right. Instead, it just keeps going up in a straight line.
There is no evidence of that at all. That's horseshit.
So people here in general are a lot happier than people here.
They're happier on average. So, you know, I'm squishing all of this down.
Despite the squishing, I was making progress.
No.
I now had incontrovertible proof that the more money you had, the happier you got.
What an irresponsible thing to do. This guy's a fucking idiot.
Goal was to get as far up this polyamorous red line as possible. But what would it actually feel like to be up there in the top right corner of this whiteboard? I asked Matt if his research had turned up an answer.
There are a lot of things we can run experiments with, but money is actually quite a bit trickier.
All right, so this line right here is somebody who makes $1 million? I mean, maybe that makes sense. Logarithmic is a lot more money.
To run an experiment where you give people enough money to matter for happiness. But there's a natural experiment. They're called lotteries. And there have been some really great studies that have found that the people who play and win are not only happier than the people who play and don't win, but they followed up 5 or 10 years later and found they continue to be fairly substantially happier.
So we got to meet a lottery winner, or we have to win the lottery.
That would be interesting.
Okay. If one thing was clear at this point in the investigation, it was that lottery winners are happy as shit. So I had to speak to one myself. Timothy Schultz won the lottery in 1999, winning over $20 million in almost a day. So I'm here to speak to him right in our studio.
I think like this is kind of the essence of what we're always arguing is that yes, if you have complete self-determination and self-actualization, you will indeed be happier. But at the levels of wealth that we're talking about with like Elon Musk, there is no marginal utility being gained. The curve does bend down.
My first question for you right out of the gate, Timothy, are you happy?
Most days, I try to be happy. I think so.
There it was, the look of someone who had enough money to be happy. And here was my chance to find out how he did it, so that one day I might look in the mirror and see my own face wearing that grin.
So you interview a lot of lottery winners. Would you say the majority of the people that you interview are also happy?
Most people that I've met and interviewed overwhelmingly have been happier, but it's not a black or white situation. I mean, the truth is, if you win the lottery, if you win a major prize, then who you are on the inside is really what matters, because who you are on the inside can be magnified. And if you're this terribly unhappy person on the inside, you might still be unhappy after the exhilaration of winning wears off.
Oh no. I'd come all this way only for Timothy, the podcast host / lottery winner, to tell me that the very nature of my investigation might be flawed. If the true solution to happiness lay inside the soul rather than the wallet, I stood no chance. My soul is as black as my outside is white.
Timothy, for the purposes of this interview, I'm gonna need you to tell me that winning the lottery is necessary. I'm gonna need to be incredibly wealthy to be happy. Because if I'm not incredibly wealthy, what's even the point? You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to basically, yeah. I mean, the truth is, you can do anything, whether you are incredibly wealthy or not. Dreams can come true, but it helps. It's a huge leg up if you have lots of money, or win a lottery, because you have more opportunities, your quality of life can be better.
Good enough for me. I now had my marching orders. Over the course of my journey, my head learned lots of information. much of it unsatisfactory for men who enjoy talking a lot with their hands. In order to be happy, I've been told I needed 2 to 3 times as much money as I had. I've been told that true happiness lay in giving money away. I've been told I needed $75,000. Then I'd been told I needed more than $75,000, ideally as much more as possible. Finally, here was something I could act on. I'd conclusively learned that in this messy business of happiness, winning the lottery was an undeniable leg up. And I'd also learned how to do it.
There's many people that have won mass amounts of money after intentionally trying to manifest jackpots. They put the
average intelligence of a wealthy person. This is just world fallacy. Basically, people believe that the outcomes in the world are led by some beneficial entity, therefore they're good. They cannot accept randomness. They cannot accept that they just got lucky. They have to like reprocess the fact that he was handed all this money for no good reason, and he has to make it into some sort of grander spiritual fucking thing.
Energy out there, they believed that it was going to happen. They visualized it, they felt it, and then it happened in real life. And whether you think that's a coincidence or not, I respect you, but it's interesting.
I need to start manifesting is what you're saying.
And with that, I knew that finding the right amount of money to make me happy wouldn't be difficult in the slightest. All I had to do was manifest winning the lottery. Can I get one jackpot fortune, one of the number 21s? And do you have cigarettes? That's $30? Golly, a $5 game would be great.
So in order to find happiness, I encourage everyone to go out and do the sensible thing. Buy a scratch ticket from the first newsstand you find on the street.
I'm so sorry. Can I get another one of these?
Then buy another.
No, I didn't win. I don't think I won.
And another.
Hi, I'm sorry. Can I get 2 more of those? Thank you.
And another.
I think I won. I think I won.
How much?
$5.
You want one more ticket or you want cash?
Another ticket would be great. Thank you.
How do you go about measuring happiness? And would you say that mine is normal size?
Okay, the chatter was right who told me not to watch it. Give that chatter credit. He was right. The video sucked. I usually like the videos, but this one blew. I hate to say it because I do like good work, but this is probably my least favorite one I've seen. There was nothing actionable or useful for that. And other than making fun of a lottery winner, which was kind of funny. Let's be honest. Making fun of someone who won the lottery is kind of funny. Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani announced push to reform outdated environmental review laws that block housing. NIMBY's officially frame-mogged by house-maxing governor and mayor. My personal take on this is that environmental review should be streamlined and it should be logically done and it should be rationalized at the high level. And you should already know the answer. Like if you look at a piece of parcel, you should be able to not have to study anything. The government should have already studied it and told you what is permissible and what is not permissible based on the needs of the environment. Like that should already be done. It should be done at the high level, right? And it should require additional studies, especially in highly developed areas that are already built up, like New York City. The environmental review should be rationalized. Never pull that yippee shithead. Yeah, he seemed like a dumb fuck. And he also had me blocked, which if somebody blocks me, usually it's because they're a propagandist for the rich. That's like 99.9% of the time. Or they're like a weird anarchist who it is what it is. Graham Plattner on stage at the Dropkick Murphy concert. Unironically, I've talked about this concept for a long time. I've called them downscale whites. I think that's a very bad way to describe it, so I'm trying to come up with a better term. I've sometimes called them trashy whites. That's also a kind of derogatory because I vibe with these kind of people. It's not that they're hicks. It's not that they are racist or anything. In fact, they aren't. Like non-evangelical white people who are not elite. So like normal white people is another way of putting it. For the longest time, that kind of white person voted for the Democrat. Dive bar whites. Yes. Dive bar whites. Thank you. Dive bar whites. That's a pretty good one. Basically, if you went to a trashy bar in Pittsburgh, who's the patrons? Those people used to be Democrats. They did. Now they love Trump. the Democratic Party, like blue collar workers and the cultural trappings of those people, they have been largely lost. And I think Graham Plattner, he is a sign that might be changing. Someone moved my Pittsburgh dad's parking chair.
Fuckers car up to the axle. I'm tired of this shit. This goddamn winter has been a nightmare. It snows every day. I feel like I'm in fucking Groundhog Day. And speaking of that little prick, if he says there's 6 more weeks of winter, I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you this right the fuck now. It's going to be hunting season on that cocksucker. I'm going up to Punxsutawney, and I'm going to shoot that little bastard right in his ass. I'm burying that motherfucker's car up to the axle. I'm tired.
If you don't know what a parking chair is, in the Northeast, if you park on the street and there's a snowstorm, you oftentimes will get buried in. Your car will be blocked in by the snowplow. And so in order for you to get out, you have to dig your car out by hand. It fucking sucks. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work, and you clear out a parking space, right? What people will do is they will then put a beach chair or something in the space, and they'll be like, I have a space saver because I shoveled this space. It's now my space. So they'll put a chair there. And I want you to understand something, chat. The chair has there's no weight to the chair. There is no dibs. It's street parking. That's the way it works. I'm sorry, you don't get to reserve the fucking space all fucking day because you shoveled it out one time. All right? Too fucking bad. That's just not the way it works. Now, I'm not saying that if I shoveled a space out, I wouldn't be pissed, but this is nonsense. And it is dumb people shit.
It's real. It's real. It's fucking insane. Have you guys not heard of this? Have you guys not heard of this? Have you not heard of this? The Philadelphia Monument? Oh my God, look, feel it. That's inches. That's inches. Inches.
Yeah, that person's pretty fucked. That person's pretty fucked. During a snow emergency, did you use a trash can code or some other object to save your parking space on the street? Here's what you need to know. You can only use a space saver when the city declares a snow emergency. You have 48 hours to use a space saver after we end an emergency. After that, you must remove it from the street. Interesting. Please keep in mind, space savers are banned in Bay Village and South End. Okay, so in Boston, they have space savers as part of the law. That's so fucking funny. That's so fucking funny. I didn't know about that. Because in Philadelphia, space savers are illegal.
Okay, so digging out is one thing. Keeping your parking spot is another. In D.C., residents are marking their territory and getting creative to hold on to that prime real estate. Here's Fox 5 photojournalist Doug Wiltz.
The snow is very heavy.
It's not an easy job, is it?
No, but I grew up in Wisconsin, so we're used to it.
Yeah, it's hard work. I'm sure my Apple Watch is showing that I'm doing a workout right now.
Well, yeah,
it was getting hard and stuff like that, and it is a pain in the.
A lot of people in your situation, when they're done and they pull out, they'll put a chair, a bucket to save the spot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings. Working this hard, I definitely understand not wanting someone else to come into your spot.
I mean, it is a public street, right? But I feel like, for you to clean up the snow, that was ice too, though. So for you to clean up the ice and stuff like that, I feel like people shouldn't come take your parking spot. You feel me?
I mean, it's up to the people. I mean, we'll probably take our car out and trust the neighborly intentions of our community here, not to take it over while we're gone. So I think we have a good
Wisconsinite. Poor Wisconsinite. He's at DC now and he hasn't learned yet. The DC snakes, they're taking your shit right away, man. Also, Virginians are very soft. Like the Mason-Dixon line is a hard border. Like people don't know this, but the difference between Pennsylvania, New York, and Maryland is gigantic. Everyone below the Mason-Dixon line, the moment there is a dusting of snow, they are disabled. They are completely disabled. They honestly, it is insane. It is a hard border between the North and the South. I don't know why that is, but it's true. Like, they cannot handle anything. Maybe Western Maryland is not like that, but Eastern Maryland, they're like, oh, 1 inch of snow canceled for a week. We can't move. Snowstorm parking orders turned violent as cities crack down. Neighbors clash and police warn of escalation. Oh, fuck. From Boston to Philadelphia, Baltimore to Washington, D.C., drivers are reviving a time-honored tradition of grabbing anything they could find, chairs, cones, and garbage cans, and using the items as space savers so that no one steals their spot. While putting a chair in a parking spot may seem like a simple gesture, saving spaces has created friction among residents. Police say one man had a knife and another had an illegally owned handgun. Both men placed their weapons down and continued fighting, according to local police. That is the most Philadelphia situation I've ever heard of in my entire life. Ah, you fucking asshole! Ah, I'll beat your ass, but I don't want to kill you. Wow. We're getting woke in Philly. Space savers became a ritual in Chicago after the record-setting blizzard of January 1967, which blanketed the city with 23 inches of snow. Some cities refer to the phenomenon as calling dibs on parking space. Others call it savesies. It's Pittsburgh. It's so legendary the residents name it the Pittsburgh parking chair. I despise the parking chair. I think it's fucking stupid. I am against it. I'm against it. I think we should shovel more. That's what I think. Instead of fighting over one space, shovel more. And then all the spaces will get cleared faster and we'll go back to normal faster. Instead of everybody spending all their time trying to avoid doing any amount of work and being so fucking entitled, just shovel the whole fucking side of the street. It's very annoying. Lawn chairs and traffic cones are common choices, but in Boston, space savers have reportedly included a vacuum cleaner and a toilet. We see a lot of beach chairs, says Frank Alapo Jr., owner of Alapo Snow Services in the Boston area. Someone put an ironing board out there, which I thought was pretty nifty. No one's moving this space saver in Southie. It's a toilet. I also hate it because they're hideous. I don't want to see your fucking toilet. In Philadelphia, the police department made it clear that space savers are illegal in the city. Meanwhile, Baltimore's mayor said at the end of January, if you put a lawn chair out there and I see it, it's going away. But if you're doing that, take the next step. If you have an elderly neighbor, dig their spot out too, he said. Don't just dig yours out. Exactly. You fucking antisocial American whining bitches. Oh, I did one spot. That's all my... now I need to keep the spot forever. And I never give it up. And I'm going to fight people over it. No, you lazy fuck. Just shovel your space. And then when you're done, you're done. God, I hate Americans. This is the most American brain mentality. It's so antisocial. It's so fucking annoying. You live in a city, you fucking whiner. Baltimore's Department of Transportation said chairs and other objects do not reserve parking spaces. They make snow removal dangerous. They can get caught in plows, damage vehicles, and prevent us from fully clearing the street. Nobody has the legal right to save their own space on public streets. You're goddamn right. Fuck the safe space whiners. The thing is, I always shovel my shit. So you're hearing a shoveler. You're hearing a shoveler saying, grab a shovel, you lazy fuck. Yeah, the LA mayor thing. Anyway, this is my opinion. If you disagree, you're lazy. Okay, this story, chat. Holy fuck, is this story making me happy? This story is making me so fucking happy. I legitimately am like cheering for the Democrats because they finally did something right. They actually fought back one time.
All right, guys, I could not wait to talk about this story. So as you all know, gerrymandering is a big issue. And it was Donald Trump who came out and was basically prodding Texas, like, you guys need to gerrymander and you guys need to make it so MAGA and Republicans have a bigger advantage, right? And Trump was basically prodding every single Republican state, gerrymander to the high heavens and let's steal more seats. And I do think one of the reasons why he's doing that is because he knows his policies are so unpopular that they're going to get cooked in the midterms if they don't try to put their finger on the scale and fucking, rig everything however they can. Ballot spoiling, ballot purging, voter intimidation, and gerrymandering, right? Well, take a look at this. So townhall.com says, Virginia Governor Spanberger, who's a Democrat, laughs, smiles, and signs the redistricting bill that will disenfranchise about 48% of Republican-leaning voters by packing them into one district. It proposes a 10-to-1 Democratic advantage, okay? So then, Ted Cruz, me, I'm Ted Cruz, me. Little weasel boy Ted Cruz chimes in, a brazen abuse of power and an insult to democracy. I'm Ted Cruz. 47% of Virginia voted Trump. They will now get just 9% of the seats. I'm Ted Cruz. 52% of VA voters voted Harris. Now they get 91% of the seats. I'm Ted Cruz. By comparison, in Texas, 56% voted Trump. GOP gets 79% of the seats. I'm Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz has that. Ready for this? So L. Louise Lucas comes out, and she is a well-known Virginia Democrat. She's the president pro tempore, Senate of Virginia, representing the 18th District, chairman of the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee, okay? So she comes out and she quote tweets this, and she says, "You all started it, and we fucking finished it." Damn, Louise.
And you know what? This is what we need. Oh, what do we got here? That Vio has made me egg. We've got egg. Look at that. Look at that. We have egg. Guys, did you hear what she said? No? Thank God. Thank God. All right, go show, yeah. Don't forget this bagger of a tweet too. Now, I am not a fan of, I'm sure her politics are dog shit. I'm sure she's a corrupt machine dem, but I don't give a fuck. More safe Democratic seats equals more places that you could run as a progressive and then win anyway. Don't you understand that? Like, the more Democrat seats, the more, and the safer they are, the better that is for us. So, good. And the more scared Democrats are of their left-wing base, the more they're going to have to pass our policies.
You go get them, girl. Goddamn. You have AOC chimes in and says, "This is the energy. Thank you," with a whole bunch of clapping emojis and the Queen's crown here. You all started it, and we fucking finished it. And ladies and gentlemen, let me say to you in no uncertain terms, zero uncertain terms, okay? You ready for this? As Republicans complain about Virginia restricting redistricting, a reminder that Democrats tried to enact a national ban on partisan gerrymandering. Every single Republican voted no. In other words, the Democratic Party, Democratic politicians all across this country stood up and said, "You know what? Let's do the right thing here. Let's make it so nobody can cheat. Nobody can gerrymander. Nobody can redistrict in an unfair way. Let's do these independent boards that redistrict in a neutral, objective way. And we're all going to sign on to it. We're all going to agree to that. Let's stop this race to the bottom. Let's stop this, you guys rig it, we'll counter rig it, etc. Let's just do the right thing across the entire country." So Democrats came out and said that. Democrats voted to unrig everything. The entire Republican Party said, "Fuck you, go kick rocks. We want to rig the shit." So what did Democrats do? They said, "Well, we tried. We were the bigger people. We voted the right way. We voted to unrig everything. But if you motherfuckers want to play ball, let's fucking play ball." And so now Virginia Democrats beat Republicans at their own motherfucking game. Their own motherfucking game. And the Republicans, Democrats are rigging it. Well, yeah. Well, maybe all the Republican politicians federally and Donald Trump himself should have www.shutthefuckup.com when they came out and said, "We're going to rig it everywhere. We're going to gerrymander. We're going to redistrict. We're going to steal. We're going to make it unfair because we want to make it unfair. That's the only way we can win. So that's what we're going to do." So, guys, again, what were the Democrats supposed to do? According to Ted Cruz, according to the weasel Ted Cruz, Democrats need to lay in a chalk outline of themselves on the ground and go, "Oh, please, Republicans, you guys gerrymander everywhere. And we'll do independent redistricting. And we'll stab ourselves in the stomach over and over." Like, no, you fucking assholes. Of course, you wanted to play ball. Now we played ball and beat you at your own stupid motherfucking game. Guess you should have signed on to the anti-gerrymandering deal, huh? But you didn't. Because that's how Republicans think. I get to do whatever I want because I'm me and I'm special. Okay? And if you play the same game and beat me at it, I'm going to cry foul. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm so sick of these fucking Republicans. They're such con artists. They're such bullshitters. They're they literally act like spoiled, rotten brat children. Okay? That's what this is. You're going to whine and bitch and moan? Motherfucker, we tried to play fair. You ruined it. So now we beat you at your own game. Suck my nuts from the back. Suck them from the back. God damn it. I hate these people.
I mean, the important thing is, like, on July, like, here, chat, let me look at this. When on January 21st, 2001, I made a post where I explained exactly this very issue, and I called for the passage of that bill. That's how long I've been talking about this. Okay, it's not some sort of Johnny come lately. I'm looking at what other people say. So now we enter the period where we lay our demands against the Democratic Party. Smart leftists will be looking for structural changes that enhance our power for the long term. That means pro-union labor reform, DC statehood, HR 1, which bans gerrymandering, $50 minimum wage, and more. Not one of these things was done by Joe Biden. That's why I consider him a failure. Because on January 21st, 2021, I said, I'm going to judge if Joe Biden is a success on these factors. And he did not accomplish one of them. I'm not moving my goalposts around. I'm not moving this shit around. I'm not also making, this is not extreme. These are all normal, what amounted to, these are center-left policies. But yet, Joe Biden and the Democratic establishment was completely uninterested in doing them. Why the fuck do you think that is? Wouldn't the 6-3 court just nuke the gerrymandering ban? Good question from Mike Cohen. No. Congress has the ability to legislate rules for how lines are drawn and provide statutory remedies. I'd assume there would be a lawsuit, but it would be on much different ground than the lawsuits that were arguing gerrymandering was unconstitutional. We now know that the Supreme Court of the United States is a Nazi partisan court, and maybe they would declare any law to be unconstitutional. But if they did, that would then give us more ground to stand on arguing in favor of court packing. Because if the court is out of control, the checks and balances that are available to the court are to pack the Supreme Court. And unfortunately, the Democrats haven't done any of that. So seeing them finally make this, finally say, hey, we're going to fight fire with fire, that's one of the signs that I think that we might be able to finally turn back Trumpism. Virginia Democrats gives profanity-laced response to Cruz's criticism of the state's redistricting push. You all started it and we fucking finished it. That's the sign of a winner. That's what a winner sounds like. Don't you want to fight for a party full of winners? Even though I probably disagree with her on many, many policy issues, at least she's talking like somebody who's a fighter, somebody who's a winner.
Shout out to my new GOAT, L. Luis Lucas. You're awesome. Never let any of them gaslight you, bro. Do not let them gaslight you. Oh, well, I guess maybe we shouldn't have gerrymandered because it does look mighty unfair. Bullshit. In the context of the way everything unfolded and knowing all of the facts, it's the fairest motherfucking thing in the world. The fairest thing in the world. And I hope Democrats do it in every single goddamn state. You understand me? Every single state. Give them a taste of their own medicine, beat them at their own game. Maybe then they'll learn, I guess we should have played fair from the beginning. It's the only way out.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe.
And an even better news, chat, with the Bernie Sanders political director winning that congressional seat in New Jersey, one of the things I was worried about was Tom Malinowski fighting for or running in the primary again to try to fucking, defeat her. He lost the special, but that he could run again, right? And he said, I spoke with Analia Mejia this morning and congratulated her, Mejia, on her win in our primary. See my full statement below. I look forward to supporting her in the April general election. It is essential that we send a Democrat to Washington to fill the seat, not a rubber stamp for Trump. Analia deserves unequivocal praise and credit for running a positive campaign and inspiring so many voters on election day. But the outcome of this race cannot be understood without also taking into account the massive flood of dark money that AIPAC spent on dishonest ads during the last 3 weeks. I wish I could say today that this effort, which was meant to intimidate New Democrats across the country, failed in New Jersey 11, but it did not. I met several voters in the final days of the campaign who had seen the ads and asked me sincerely, are you MAGA? Are you for ICE? My convictions, including my support for Israel as a democratic and Jewish state, don't change because of who supports or opposes me. But our Democratic Party should have nothing to do with a pro-Trump, billionaire-funded organization that demands absolute fealty to positions that are outside the mainstream of the American pro-Israel community and then smears those who don't fall in line. If AIPAC backs a candidate openly or surreptitiously in the June New Jersey 11th congressional primary, I will oppose that candidate and urge my supporters to do so as well. The threat unlimited dark money poses to our democracy is far more significant than the views of a single member of Congress on Middle East policy. I am proud of the joyful and substantive campaign my team and I ran, and I'm immensely grateful to the volunteers and staff who made it possible. Their mission and mine will continue. Let me tell you something, chat. This is a liberal Zionist. And one of the arguments that I have been making for a very, very long time is that liberal Zionism is untenable. The concept of a liberal binationalist state of Israel that doesn't exist. A two-state solution, it's not viable anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. It is an artifact of a different time. And what might have been considered a reasonable or moderate position on Israel years ago is no longer tenable. It's no longer viable. And the Israeli lobby, which is the servant of a foreign government, they know that. And so they're not interested in liberal Zionists anymore, because liberal Zionists will call them out, will condition funding, will not allow them to do their genocides and their annexations and their subjugation of the Palestinian people. They will shriek. They will, if you are truly a liberal Zionist, you will have to turn away from the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. So liberal Zionism is dead. And why is it dead? Because Israel doesn't have liberal Zionists in it anymore. The country of Israel is a fascist, right-wing despotism. And so this sign, even though I disagree with him, because his idea of Israel is a fantasy of his own making, it doesn't exist anymore. It's wrong. It's gone. Liberal Zionism is gone. Substantively, what he's doing with his politics is he's supporting anti-Zionism. He's supporting somebody who's against Israel in the here and now. And this is a profound political earthquake. If people who claim to be liberal Zionists are now turning against the Israel lobby and turning against AIPAC and turning against the fascist government, and the way they do that is by supporting anti-Zionist candidates, we're breaking through. Politics is fundamentally changing. The ship of American foreign policy has begun to turn. And like a massive freightliner or cruise ship or battleship, once the momentum starts going against Israel, there's no telling where it will stop. Israel is fucked. We're gonna win. Palestine will be free. Will AIPAC support be more poisonous than Musk for the midterms? Yes. I mean, I think all of those guys, all of that support is incredibly damaging. And FBI has released images of the kidnapper. Oh my God. Nancy Guthrie's mother was kidnapped. What? Yo. Nancy Guthrie. What the fuck, dude? That's so fucking creepy, dude. All right, chat. There is a Fear and an I've Had It crossover. And quite honestly, they posted two. The first was from the Fear and side. And now they're posting an I've Had It side. And so we have that. Or we could watch Asmongold Emiruk drama shit. I don't know about you guys, but like, I'm sorry, but like, what more is there to say? We've said it. I've said everything I want to say on this shit. Fuck Asmongold. I'd rather watch this shit. You know, I know, like, I'm heavily incentivized to lean into the drama slop because people love the drama slop. They fucking love the drama slop. And it is very frustrating to do a substantive political show where and realizing this platform is so focused on personal drama shit. There's really nothing you can do to avoid that. You have to participate in some way. I think the main thing I want, you know, the main oh yeah, let's finish the Graham Plattner thing and then we'll figure it out. He's gonna win, folks. He's gonna win. Emiru eye-rolled yesterday when she said she gave her statement. Ew. AOC was commenting on the Cuban... so I wanted to cover this really quickly because there's not a lot for me to say, but it is a very important story, and I hope you guys continue to be interested in foreign policy over drama slop. But AOC was asked about her position on Cuba. AOC, not AMC. AOC.
You know, I have to read the reporting that you're talking about, but this is what we've seen with Gaza, right? This is a new kind of era of depravity opened up where there used to be, or there was this stated commitment on human rights that innocent civilians were almost exempt from the rules of war, from blockades. And what has transpired is that now it's kind of become acceptable that the entire Western world will look the other way as they starve and deprive a people because they find political actors or political regimes in that country to be objectionable. And so what we are seeing here is the possible precipice of hospitals running out of fuel. You know, we're talking about innocent children, women that could be put in harm's way. And so, again, I have to look at the details of the reporting that you're sharing regarding Rubio specifically, but I think it's incumbent upon all of us to defend human rights, no matter where. Hey, Congresswoman.
So AOC strongly condemning the Cuban embargo, equating it to what's happening to in Gaza. Meanwhile, Xi Jinping has announced that they're going to do a emergency 60,000 tons of rice and $80 million of financial aid. They're also pursuing a renewable energy development program to install, I think it was like, how many megawatts of, oh, here it is. Since 2024, 2 governments have formalized the construction of several photovoltaic parks on the island with Chinese support. These are part of Cuba's energy transition strategy, which officially aims for renewable sources to account for 25% of electricity generation by 2030, and in the long term to achieve fully renewable energy matrix by 2050. Currently, most of Cuba's electricity is generated from fossil fuels. So I think there's I hope, you know, if I were Xi, I would do it faster, personally. Here's a short from Graham Plattner.
I mean, look, I fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. I fought in Fallujah. I fought in Ramadi. I was a machine gunner in the Marine Corps. I served as a rifle squad leader in the mountains of Afghanistan. Spent much of my 20s and early 30s in the service of this nation fighting in those countries. I am very proud to be a United States Marine. I am very proud to have been an infantryman. However, I also do not know the value of my service. Nobody can explain to me what I did in Ramadi, how that made lives better in Sullivan, Maine. We send young men and women off to take part in horrific violence and to visit horrific violence upon millions of innocent people in these countries. Also, a Raytheon executive can buy a 3rd house. We get young men and women with nightmares and drinking problems, and somebody else gets a yacht. I mean, look, I fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. I fought.
I think there's one part of the lifestyleism of the left where a lot of people look at somebody like Graham Plattner, a lot of people look at somebody like AOC, and they expect them to do this like kind of cringe, frothing at the mouth, I hate America rants. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's just not how you do politics. I mean, when you're part of a group of people who all already agree about America's crimes, you can posture with each other by saying stuff that would be, and you kind of forget that what you're saying is out of touch, right? Like, that's the reality. They're going to say they like America. They're going to say the American flag should stand for justice and purity. That's what she just said. She just did a speech looking at the American flag saying the red stands for labor and the blood that labor shed, blah, 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 blah. You're not going to be a politician for a country and then say how much you hate the country. That's nonsensical. That's subculture shit. That's subculture brain. But what he did say is what they were doing were crimes and they were bad and they didn't make our country better. That's the message that actually matters, because he is saying to Americans who look at their soldiers not as enemies, but as the local young boy that went abroad naively thinking he was fighting for his country and he was abused and exploited. They see him as a victim. Now, if you're a perspective of an Iraqi or someone victimized by American imperialism, you're not going to agree. You're going to say that guy was the perpetrator. And you're right. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we stop it? How do we stop it? Is it by convincing Americans that they're fundamentally evil and they need to whip themselves and spit on everything that they've ever loved as like contrition? Like, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to do some sort of like moralizing? Or are we trying to seize power so we could stop sanctioning Cuba? We could stop sanctioning and invading Venezuela. We could stop sanctioning and invading Iraq and Iran and supporting Israel. If you want the American state to turn away from doing the horrible imperialist shit, we need to elect the people and we need to seize power in places with people that are actually going to be against it. All right, chat. I think this is pretty obvious stuff. What are you linking me? APAC is terrified of Kat. Yeah. I think Kat, I mean, I don't know. Has Kat gotten the support? Like, who has endorsed her? She hasn't gotten that national support from like AOC and stuff, right? We'll have to check it out. All right, chat. Let's watch some of the podcast.
So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots, and all of the fascists can do what?
Is that
That was terrible.
Oh my God!
It was terrible.
I did exactly what you told me to do, Jen. Oh, fuck off,
Hassan.
Fuck off.
I said cacaw.
Yeah, this dumbass. I couldn't.
You didn't say anything.
Well,
you were worse than me.
No, I got thrown off.
You
know
were
what I mean?
worse than me. Why do you always? You want to impress her so much.
I've already. I always impress her.
You're trying. To
how are your parents?
My parents are great.
See, he didn't fucking even know they were in town.
That's
Listener,
crazy.
we are in New York City.
New York.
With part of Fear and.
That's right.
Yeah, Mumdanistan, baby.
That's right.
Yes.
With Hassan and Austin.
That's right.
And Hassan, what have you had it with?
I've had it with a lack of accountability, okay, from the international elite pedophilic cabal getting zero accountability whatsoever to ICE agents gunning down Americans in the streets. I'm done.
That's not quite true. The Brits are kind of losing it. The Brits are kind of mad about the Epstein list. They're kind of like going after them a little bit more. Like a lot of people are getting fired and there's like scandal is brewing.
It's time for punishment. Okay. I know a lot of people will say Hassan, oh, classic. He's
stealing my takes. This motherfucker's stealing my takes. It's time for punishment. That's my shit. I'm the one who's saying that. What the fuck? This is my take.
Communist, he wants the gulag, but like a little bit of re-education, I think, is a necessity. Just a little bit. Not even re-education, because for many Americans it's just education, because they haven't been educated at all.
That's literally my take. What the fuck? That is literally my line. It's fair you've copied 100 things. Like what? Tell me what I've copied. Exactly. I've been waiting and there's nothing there.
But like, we got to start punishing people. That's what I want. I want accountability. I want law and order.
Cancel culture.
I want not even. I want them to go to jail. I want people to go to prison.
Yeah.
If you do
Mike creates all things in a vacuum, all original ideas.
a crime, there's a social contract. If you do a crime, you're supposed to do the time. But unfortunately, if you do a crime at the behest of, this pedophile president, then you're fine. They literally will take you out of prison, just like they did with January 6th. That was apparently a warning. And same goes for the ICE agents. Or if you're like super wealthy, you can do the most heinous crimes of all time and no punishments are dished out. I've had it with that. We got to bring back punishments.
I completely agree. I'm going to ride on that, coattail ride on that I have had it with corporate Democrats telling us that they are going to rearrange the rules for ICE and then expect a convicted felon, a criminal that hasn't served time, to enforce those laws when they don't care about the laws. And what I think they're trying to do, Hassan, is I think they're trying to say, okay, we'll behave for now. And then come midterm election day, it's full tilt ICE voter suppression. Why should we believe the corporate Democrats when they patronize us to say, oh, we trust this convicted felon to follow the law?
Yeah. They've shown that they don't want to follow the law at all.
Austin?
Well, I've had it with road ragers.
I thought it was coming. I thought something was coming, but I thought it was going to be like airplane food.
No, I
needs to get better.
I was just getting a little uncomfortable, not because I agree with both of you, but I was like, I didn't. Of course I do. Oh my God, of course but I didn't have like something as politically driven that I've had it with.
Something with so much moral clarity.
Yeah. But anyway, I've had it with road ragers. I'm sick and fucking tired of these people existing on planet Earth and pretending that they're the only one. So they feel as if they need to put our lives in danger on the road in the pursuit of some sort of...
He's right. He's right. You know, I honest to God, he's right. I am so tired of the way people... First of all, people will rage at you and they're wrong. They're in the wrong and then they rage. And it's like, bro, you're in the wrong.
Petty victory.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you ever road rage?
I used to.
Yeah, because typically...
I'm a retired road rager.
I get angry at road ragers. I'm like, oh my God, come on. It wasn't that big of a deal. You're fine. We didn't wreck.
Yeah.
But then if somebody turns in front of me, I'm like, fuck you, mind your own business. I'm a complete hypocrite on the road rager issue.
I guess.
Total hypocrite.
I mean, I guess you're right. When I do something wrong, I tell the other, it's like, fucking relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Chill out.
Chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
I got a solution for road rage. Just drink a little bit. Just keeps you locked in. Okay. It cures your anxiety.
Now,
I love it. New York Post. Hassan Piker comes to New York and says people to drive drunk.
Now, I disagree with him on that, really morally. I don't think you should drink and drive. I do.
Drunk driving.
I oppose drinking and driving, but I do.
Can you say that? That's brave.
I do. It's a brave But thing. I do think if you smoke a little pot before you drive.
Okay, no, I'm joking. I don't know if you are.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious. But
I'm
just saying.
He's actually endorsing DWI.
No, guys, don't smoke pot and drive, but it's better than drinking. If you had to choose one.
That's.
This is like when somebody talks about incest, you know, like, just don't. Don't try to explain some hypothetical where you think incest might be okay that doesn't exist. Just accept that incest is wrong because 99.99999% of the time, it is a male relative abusing a child, right? Like an older male relative abusing a child. Stop trying to make arguments where that becomes okay. Are you okay? Are you good?
Right? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, if you had to choose one, I'm not endorsing either.
Okay, would you rather get behind the wheel of a person that's stoned or a person that's drunk?
Yeah, a person that's stoned.
I'm taking the stoner.
Yeah, taking the stoner, because at least we're going to move slowly and methodically.
I think drunk driver. Why?
Oh.
Why?
Spicy.
Okay. First of all, drinking alcohol is legal and driving is legal. So why is the merger of the two illegal? Nobody knows. That's number one. Number two, it's not about drunk driving per se. It's more so about drunk crashing. And it's the drunk crashers that actually ruin it for the rest of us who just want to have a good time. For the drunk drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's true.
And for that reason, if you have an experienced drunk driver behind the wheel, you don't want him sober anyway. Because
this is a Los Angeles take, because living in Los Angeles is hell, because everybody is, 40 minutes away on the road. So how could you ever actually have fun? Because you drive to a bar, you park, and then it's like, well, I guess I'm going to have 2 cocktails, which is why they could charge $25 per cocktail, because you're not getting drunk. So you're spending the same amount on alcohol. You're just getting 2 drinks. And legitimately, it sucks. It actually fucking sucks. Whereas in New York City, you go to a bar and you get drunk, and then you easily get home by walking, taking public transit like the subway, and you're good. You never have to drive. You didn't drive to go to the bar. So people actually know how to party in New York.
They're going to be cranky. They're going to get into an accident. They're going to be too anxious, too nervous behind the wheel. So I'd rather have them be, a little bit on the sauce.
Here's the thing. Remember that guy that drove Princess Diana? Yeah. I think he was an experienced drunk driver.
Yeah.
Well, they're British.
Now, he was French.
Oh.
Also. Not as much.
And now Princess Diana, the people's princess, dead.
She's no longer with us.
Yeah.
No.
I thought that was an assassination.
Of course you did.
Yeah. I still think it's an assassination.
You do?
Well, he also thinks Bush did 9/11.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think that the American intelligence community had a lot more information.
He thinks we deserved it, which I think is disgusting.
Okay, first of all, we knew they were going to do an attack. We didn't know the exact contours of the attack. And it also doesn't matter. Can I just say this for a second? I'm gonna like, I know they're joking and they're doing comedy and shit, but I'm gonna be autistic and I'm gonna be honest here because I want to have a regular conversation anyway. Which is, it doesn't matter if Bush did 9/11 or 9/11 was the result of blowback. It literally is the same exact shit. The consequences have to be the same. The people that supported Osama bin Laden in the 80s, whether or not they did 9/11, should be removed from power forever. And whether 9/11 happened because they're incompetent or because they let it happen, again, the outcome is the same. They are the fucking worst, and we need to put them in prison. Now, if it turns out that they did 9/11, I could understand why that appeals to people more viscerally, like being able to point and go, they did 9/11, they did 9/11, right? But like, the reality is, no, they get intel like that every day. No, I think the like intel on 9/11 was more specific. Like, they had a much higher certainty that Al Qaeda was going to attack. Like, it wasn't just like low level threats. It was like they had very clear indications that there was some attack planned. They just didn't understand how exactly they were going to pull it off. So like, they didn't know like, okay, this guy in this airport is going to hijack this plane, right? They didn't know that, but they were like, well, they're going to do something maybe with planes.
Brave take number two. Yeah. No, I think that the American intelligence, I think the international intelligence community had a lot more pre-warning about what potentially could have happened. And I mean, this stuff is not even in the realm of...
That's not even think. We know that. We know that they did.
Conspiracy at that point. Right. It's just like, they just kind of didn't take the necessary precautions.
Well, there was a memo, I believe it was Condoleezza Rice that read it, that said, bin Laden determined to attack inside the United States.
Actually, it was read to Bush on a golf course. And Bush said, well, you've covered your ass, to the intelligence agent that told him. Bush told on golf course about potential attack from Al Qaeda. Covered golf. Oh, God damn it. Where is it? Oh, maybe it was his ranch. Bush did receive a closely held intelligence report while he was at his ranch at Crawford, Texas, titled Bin Laden Disturbed a Strike in U.S., which discussed Al Qaeda's desire to attack within the United States. It was on his ranch that he said this, not a golf course. But you get my point. Like, he told them. He was told. And his reaction was, two CIA analysts involved in preparing the brief and believed it represented an opportunity to communicate their view that the threat of bin Laden attack in the United States remained both current and serious. The result was an article in the August 6th presidential daily brief titled Bin Laden Determined to Strike in U.S.
That was a complete, security collapse on that. I believe that that's been corroborated.
Yeah. I don't know how you read
what
that.
What do you think about that one building? Like, there were the two...
7.
Yes.
Tower 7. I still,
fishy
to this
as
day,
hell.
I still
Wasn't
to
that the
this
Marriott
day,
Hotel?
No, it was some other building.
The Tower 7 thing, I don't think the collapse is suspicious. I think the ownership situation is what's suspicious. I don't think the collapse itself is suspicious. I think the ownership, insurance, payout, that's the really questionable shit.
World Trade Tower 7.
Who was officed in there?
I think it's like some documents were in there is what conspiracy theorists say. But like, I think that tower is falling has never had like a good answer.
I agree.
The answer is that it was, if you want to know why a tower fell, the one is it had a very unusual internal structure because it was built over like a power substation. So it had some sort of like weird internal truss structure. And then it was struck by a lot of falling. I don't know if it was Tower 1 or 2. One of the collapsing towers did significant structural damage to it. And then, and this is the part that people forget, the New York City Fire Department was almost destroyed, with the 9/11 towers falling on them kind of thing. And they were no longer able to fight fires, so they abandoned it. They abandoned it because they lost so many people in the collapsing towers, they would treat it. So they let it burn. So like, that's what happened. That's not cope. That's just what happened. The structures failed. The owner said on camera they made the decision to pull it. The pull it would be, that doesn't even support conspiracy. They were pulling the defense of the building. If it was a pre-planned conspiracy to detonate it, they wouldn't have to say that they said pull it. They would just detonate it. They wouldn't have to say pull it. They were pulling the defense of the building. It's not that complicated, guys. Again, it doesn't matter. The traitors were already in power for decades. Like, you think 9/11, the problem with you is you're a liberal. And you think that 9/11 was significant. In reality, the structure of what made 9/11 happened decades before. It was part of a continuum of fascist foreign policy coming home to roost. That's why you're a liberal. That's why Alex Jones is now a Donald Trump supporter, because he was a liberal. He didn't have dialectical materialism. He didn't have good analysis of the shit, and he got conspiracy brained. And then he ended up defending Jeffrey Epstein and the AI billionaires building a panopticon.
And it's just something that we just kind of gave up on.
Completely. It's so weird because you've watched the video and it completely pancakes like a
controlled demolition.
Yeah, of like a Las Vegas hotel.
Now we're
That is weird as shit.
Speaking of Las Vegas,
they all fell like that because they had catastrophic failures of the structures. Buildings are built. I mean, this is just like kind of oh no. Buildings are not built with the extra margins that big. All right. They're not designed for those kind of loads. When a structure starts to collapse, it exceeds the loads and it pancaked. That's it. It's not that complicated, man.
Really Stephen Paddock, another conspiracy that the government just kind of gave up on addressing at all. Stephen Paddock, the shooter in the Country Club Festival from Mandalay Bay, the Mandalay Bay shooter.
Right.
Yeah, that was also a very suspicious act of ultra violence. There's a lot of unanswered questions there as well, and we just kind of moved on. A lot of this stuff happens all the time, and we just kind of move on.
Yeah, I think that in that argument, I think where we are right now was incubated by moving on. Obama didn't charge the black sites and Abu Ghraib. He didn't hold the George W. Bush administration accountable. And
based. Oh my God, this is so fucking based. This is so fucking based. Holy shit, this is based. This is incredibly based. Going after Obama. This is what libs need to hear. They need to hear this so badly. Oh, this is such a good sign. Holy fuck.
All of this stuff gets incubated, anti-black police, over-policing. And now all the white people are like, oh my God, a person got shot in the streets. And all the black Americans are like, this has been our experience the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I think us moving on has incubated where we are now.
Yeah. I mean, Rahm Emanuel, I feel like, has he been on the show?
Yeah, I got in a fight with him.
Yeah, of course. That's unsurprising. But Rahm Emanuel had to resign in disgrace because of the torture of Laquan McDonald in Chicago in one of these black sites that the Chicago Police Department was operating. Like, they took the CIA's methods of having like torture black site facilities where they could like disappear people and started using it at the domestic level. And we've just, I guess, forgotten about it because now he has ambitions for higher office. And it's like, Rahm, there's a reason why you were the Japanese ambassador. Like, they sent you on that cushy gig far away from America because you had fucked up. Mm-hmm. And this is before we even talk about that was his fuck ups as the mayor of Chicago. Before that, his fuck ups in the Obama administration led to a massive, a sea of red wave picks that came under the Obama administration when Obama came in with the blue supermajority, like the actual supermajority, which we probably will never see that ever again. So, how are we forgetting about this?
We do. That's what we do as a nation.
We just forgive
collective
and we
amnesia.
Forget.
You know what I've had it with? Tardiness.
Oh. Uh-oh.
So, listener, we were supposed to start the podcast promptly.
I'm so
10.
sorry.
And then the guests and their producer, March, who I believe is innocent. March is.
He's never innocent.
I believe March is innocent. I believe he is. They start messaging that they're late.
I messaged. They would have never said a word. He would have never said a word.
That's true.
He would have just showed up and been like, this is the time now.
Let me ask you this. Does it cause you anxiety when you're late?
Well, when you...
Thank you so much for doing this. It needed to be said. It needed to be fucking said. I'm glad she's calling them out.
When you texted me, selfish...
it was a good takedown.
It was a good
exactly
takedown.
what that was.
You said selfish, self-indulging millennials.
Incompetent. Self-indulged millennials is what I referred to you
Incompetent,
to as.
self-indulged millennials. I actually physically started sweating. I was in the back of my Uber and I was like, sir, could you please drive faster?
Mother is
please,
angry.
Mother's very angry. And then I was like, I couldn't tell. I was like, oh, maybe she's joking. But I was like, it felt a little serious. So I was like, I need to maybe ask her if she wants a
She was totally serious. But of course she was serious. What makes you think she's not serious? Of course she's serious.
coffee or something.
You did.
I did. And I was like trying to pass the time and maybe not have you look at the clock. And I don't know. I was sweating. He didn't give a shit. I know he didn't give a shit.
We were locked in on the car. We were supposed to be here at 10:03. So it was going to be 3 minutes.
Yeah. Pretty close.
Which is like fairly, I mean, it's fine.
My helicopter didn't show up.
But unfortunately, New York time, like New York traffic doesn't operate that way.
It's just a little bit more congested than usual.
It is.
Why I was
The
late.
snow.
Have you noticed that too?
Well, it's the snow on the side of the road.
Yeah.
It kind of makes the roads a little smaller.
Yeah, what's going on with that, Zoran?
Did you see where Bill Ackman is blaming Zoran for the weather?
Yeah, I that's not surprising to me.
Well, here's my thing.
New York Post has been doing that a lot.
Bill Ackman, like this guy, he's a billionaire, right?
Why hasn't he left New York?
It's unbelievable. Nobody has. Did you know the luxury real estate market has boomed since Zoran's victory?
Steven Spielberg's coming out here.
Yeah.
He left LA to come out here to be in Afghanistan. You know? So, and I find it very strange. I was looking forward to getting a brownstone from a family that was escaping. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was just going to enter the New York real estate market. And now I can't because nobody's fucking leaving.
Let me ask you this. On a scale of 0 to 10, how jealous are you guys
Oh, my God.
that I live in New York with Zoran Mamdani as mayor and you don't?
It's like everywhere. It's
10.
Everything is collapsing in America in real time. And it's like you guys are just like having so much fun. You have competent governance.
Oh my God.
If it were up to me, obviously I would want Zoran to be a little bit more radical. But he's done a phenomenal job so far. And he's basically showing the rest of the world like, no, you can do these things. You can just kind of do good things for your constituents. Things that you promised that you were going to do for them. They're actually very easy to do. Maybe not easy to do, but like if you have the willingness to follow through on your promises, you can accomplish them. And people really love that. Shocking. Very big surprise for me.
And he governs with the 1-2 punch. He does it and then victory laps.
Yeah.
He does it and promotes it, which Democrats do a terrible job at that. I mean, what made me so mad is Biden does the Infrastructure Act.
There are some tweets about the files. Rep. Thomas Massey says UAE billionaire Sultan Ahmed bin Suleim said torture video found in Epstein files. Wow, I can't believe our Arab allies have videos of them torturing people. Wow, I can't believe that's real.
And then all of these horrific
Jesus.
Bible thumper, red state, horrible politicians are then like, look at all the jobs I brought to my state.
Yeah. While they stopped
voted against it.
They voted against it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it were up to me, and I said this at the time as well, this was one of the biggest problems I had with the Biden administration. This is pre-October 7, right? Pre-October 6, actually, because that's when he unveiled the right-wing anti-immigrant bill that was also a total insanity. But before that, there were definitely a lot of accomplishments that he could point to. Afghan withdrawal, there were some issues there, but at the end of the day, it required tremendous bravery. I defend him on that. Overdose deaths decreased for the first time in 2024 under his leadership due to mass availability of Narcan. That was fantastic. No mention by the fucking administration at all. And I was so mad that they would just not come out and be like, this is what we're doing.
Victory lap.
Yeah, we said that we would do this. This is what we're doing. So I think the problem with Biden, though, was that he was genuinely a carcass. So there's no way he was going to be able to do that. But just like, I don't know, get Pete Buttigieg to be your comms guy. Take him off the transportation
Or
secretary.
use AI.
position.
Trump's using AI. They're doing all these AI videos of him behind
Boomers fucking love AI, dude. They fucking love AI. Like, they love the slop AI shit. You know what my theory is? And this is my problematic take. I'm going to give you my problematic take. I think AI appeals to people that cannot picture things in their head. I think AI is like the thing that constructively gives people that do not have the ability to picture things in their head, the ability to picture things in their head. And so they like glom onto it because it's like giving them something they can't, that you and I can do. And so it's not that they're bad people. It's just like, oh, I could sit here and imagine Trump in a dirty diaper and laugh if I wanted to. But if you can't, being able to see that, I guess, is more attractive. I think it has to do with that. Like, literally. Oh, fuck off. That's a legitimate medical condition. Okay, I'm not trying to give people strays who can't imagine an apple in their head. Okay, I'm not trying to give you guys strays. If that's you, it doesn't mean you're inferior anyway. I just think that it kind of appeals to people that are in that situation a little bit more than others.
The desk, have you seen it with the finger?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You know, there's this conspiracy theory that Biden was
Analia's victory speech link
replaced by some actor.
It's a dumb point. I have an incredibly vivid photographic memory and I use AI. It's just cope. Well, if you actually had a photographic memory, you wouldn't say photographic memory. You'd say eidetic memory, because photographic memory is what people say who don't know what it is. All right, let's keep going.
Have you seen this?
I have not.
No.
What kind of boomer stuff are
Wait, have you guys not seen this? Like, no. Biden wasn't real, and he was replaced by another Biden with a mask. And I'm like, if you're going to replace Biden with another person, why would you replace him with another demented dude?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, because if he was too young, then all of a sudden it's...
Well, I know, but like, I don't know. I was like, if this, for this theory to work, like, what's the advantage of replacing him unless, if not for... I can't believe you guys haven't heard of this.
No, I haven't.
What part of X am I on?
Do you visit, like, these conspiracy sites?
No, I don't. It just it gets pushed to me, and I'm starting to believe it a little bit.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
All right, listen up, listener. The Trump administration has said that we cannot call them fascists, and the last time I checked, we still had a First Amendment. So naturally,
whoa, what is this? What is this makeup? We've got her. This is the femme makeup. Jennifer really shows you the difference between right-wing makeup and left-wing makeup. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to say, it looks great. It slays.
Been busy writing
a book. What do I know about makeup? Quite a lot.
Book called Not Today, Fascists: The Lies That Got Us Here and the Truths That Will Reunite Us. My book will publish on October 6th. And if you
I'm excited for the book. That sounds fun. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead from the ads, chat. She is hot. Of course she's a beautiful woman. Like, what? Of course she is.
Use code HADIT at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that we sent you. Okay, what do we think about Trump's assassination, staged or not?
Fake. I have it. I have the commemorative Zintin.
No.
Of course.
Oh my God. It's
fake.
The fight.
You think it's
more
fake?
like fake?
I think it's fake too.
Oh,
you think it's fake?
It's so fake.
Okay.
I didn't used to, but now I do. I'm fully invested.
I did initially. I thought it was fake. I was in Italy when it happened. And the next day I was out and the Italians were like, Jennifer, do you think it's a stage? And I'm like, oh
yeah, no one in Europe believes it.
Oh, really?
They all think it's staged. And so then I get back home and we've been so propagandized, you can't believe conspiracy theories. And it's worked to their benefit. But deep down, I was like, oh my gosh. Well, I have this nephew that is in federal law enforcement. And he said, there's no fucking way that wasn't staged, because there was one roof. Right. And as a federal, you would immediately secure that roof. Yeah. Immediately. It's just impossible that the Secret Service, local police would not secure that roof. And then if you...
Okay, couple things I would say. This is a thing that always happens with conspiracy brain, and you've got to avoid it, chat. You have to avoid conspiracy brain. All right? It's very important to avoid conspiracy brain. Conspiracy brain, you always give credit for people to be more confident and competent than they actually are. They are not. First of all, Donald Trump was not president yet, so he had a reduced protective detail. That's number one. Number two, if there were no credible threats, then there is unlikely that detail would increase. 3, incompetence and laziness are better explanations. And 4, you think a guy just died? He just like said, I will kill myself, shot in the face and die a horrible death. So, and I'll do a pinpoint shot of Trump's ear so that Trump looks good. Like what? Unless you have actual proof of that, that's like nonsense. Here's what it is. The truth is funnier than her fake story. The truth is a schizo nihilist incel Trump supporter wanted to kill himself, and he decided he put Trump into the Google machine and Biden in the Google machine. Found out that Trump was doing a rally relatively close. He grabbed his gun that didn't even have an optic installed and incompetently walked straight into the rally and was able to climb up and take a shot at Trump. I think people need it to be a conspiracy because they're embarrassed that no one else is taking a shot. Tens of millions of people fucking hate Donald Trump and only like one guy took a shot and he almost landed it even though he was an incompetent moron. Ryan is just another idiot. Ryan is the same thing. He didn't even take a shot. He got caught. It's what, like nobody could get together $5,000 to buy a nice rifle and some practice range time? Everybody is an incompetent rube? I'm not advocating it. I'm just observing. And that's depressing.
Really start diving into it. Trump's people allow the press to come instead of squishing them down if there's an active shooter, right?
Yeah.
And then they lower the flag for the photo up. And I always thought it was sus.
Wait,
like,
they lowered the flag?
Yeah, bro, it's right here.
They lower the flag.
Oh.
They lower the flag. And then when he's saying, hang on.
By the way, chat, this is good. This is actually good. You could tell which side is winning based on the conspiracy maxing. The fact that you guys are coming in and saying Tower 7, the fact that you guys are coming in and saying that this shit is happening, that's a good sign. That means we're winning. It means the populism energy is back on our side. The dumb the dumb downscale whites are on our side. That's a good sign. When dumb fucking conspiracies that have no, that are not really important or relevant to anything or even that interesting are being popped up, that's a good sign. That's a sign we're winning. Now, I am a nerd autist, so I find them annoying, but it's still a good sign. It's like when you go to a protest and you see a bunch of people that have a hastily written sign on the back of a ripped cardboard box with black Sharpie, and it's not very pithy, and it's like fuck Trump for something. That's a good sign. It means that non-activists are so pissed off that they're going out onto the streets. That's a good sign. If everybody's sitting there fucking marching perfectly straight and they have the same sign and they're all doing this, you're like, okay, well, it's the same olds. All right. So it's a good sign when we have idiotic, totally nonsensical and pointless conspiracy theories on our side.
Hang on just a second. Let me put my shoes on. This doesn't sound like somebody who's
worried about
just got their ear shot off.
Oh. Fake. Totally fake. I'm on board.
Yep.
It's fake as hell. And then they find that the supposed shooter was actually in a like BlackRock ad or something many years prior. What? Yeah, that's true. That's real. The BlackRock went to their school and they were doing some sort of initiative and he was filmed in it. But I think he was an actor. I think they put him there. They already domed him. Loser. No real social media footprint. Like these are people that are the forgotten people. There's millions of them.
So what did they do with him? They put him in jail, didn't they?
No, they killed him. They domed him, and then they put his body up there.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And then they were like, "Oh my God, here's the shooter. We thankfully shot him." And it's like, no, there's 0% chance that shooter pulled off.
How did they get him to agree to it? Do you think? Like
they didn't. They just he's a loser.
Oh God, this is so fucking stupid. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Austin, for asking that question. I love you so much.
He was a total forgotten soul. And there are millions of them. And I think the CIA or the FBI was like, all right, yeah, this one.
But if it's the CIA or the FBI, that would have been under Biden's authority.
Of course. What, you think the CIA and the FBI are like, they're not ideological? They're all fucking Nazis. That's why they're in that group. They're a Gestapo. This is where the liberals, this is now where we're getting into Mike from PA conspiracy. There has never been a Democrat head of the FBI. There's never been someone who is a registered Democrat who ran the FBI. We've had how many Democratic presidents, and there's never been a registered Democrat to lead the FBI? That seems pretty odd, don't you think?
Yeah.
I think it was, well, there's still different ideological components within the CIA and the FBI as well. I mean, they're not all woke under the Biden administration.
Right.
And then
here is Michael Moore saying, back in 2019, there has never been a Democrat as FBI director. All 8 FBI directors, starting with Hoover in 1924, and including Mueller and Comey, have been Republicans. Republican presidents appoint Republicans to run the FBI. Democratic presidents appoint Republicans to run the FBI for nearly 100 years. And who did Joe Biden put in charge of the FBI? Let's go. Director of the FBI. The answer is Christopher Wray. He kept him. He kept Donald Trump's appointee until he was replaced by Kash Patel, who is a fucking podcaster. James Comey was a Republican, but he was appointed by Barack Obama. And if you don't know anything about J. Edgar Hoover, if you don't know about the Hoovers, these guys, he was a virulent anti-socialist, anti-communist, anti-civil rights racist who did all sorts of like dark shit into this country. Here they are. So you had a couple times when someone was a Democrat where they were acting FBI director for 8 days, 71 days. But that's it. There's never been a Republican. And there it is. There's the timeline. And they're saying J. Edgar Hoover was an independent. That's how you know the Democratic Party is the controlled opposition, because it's like, wait a minute. You can't even find one Well, so why is that? Well, because if you put a Democrat in charge of the FBI and they see all the anti-Democratic Party shit that's being done in the FBI, they might object. If you're like, wait a minute, why are you surveilling AOC? Wait a minute. Now, a Republican will be like, well, yes, she is kind of suspect. She is a radical socialist. I mean, there was a guy went on Fox News and said it. He said their job was to not let socialists get elected.
Magically turn into anti-woke under the Trump administration. Or they could have hired, paramilitaries. Could have been Israel. That's another,
Can somebody find me that video? Can somebody find me that video? Because it definitely exists and I want to show it.
Foreign intervention. It's not a secret that Benjamin Netanyahu really wanted Trump to become president.
Yeah.
Even though Biden was eating his ass every day.
Oh my God, he totally was.
It wasn't enough for him. So I don't know. Could be. I like that. We should float that to Candace Owens. Make that a real thing.
Yeah.
That Israel actually did the fake Trump assassination. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys want to listen to voice memos from our listener?
Former FBI assistant director said, when I first got into FBI, one of the missions of the FBI and its counterintelligence efforts was to try to keep progressives out of government. There you go. There it is.
When you take the election and you take the House and you now convert all the committees that you have to investigating various aspects of the President of the United States, then your lifeblood has to be to react to stories. So you're going to see more stories planted so that all these committees can have a lot of work to do. And I think this is just more of the same. And I think we can expect more of this because, quite honestly, the electorate in some places is putting more and more progressives and self-described socialists in positions. And ironically, years ago when I first got into the FBI, one of the missions of the FBI in its counterintelligence efforts was to try and keep these people out of government. Why? Because we would end up with massive dysfunction and massive disinformation and massive misinformation. And it seems to me that's where we're at today. When you take...
So the FBI's counterintelligence mission in the United States was to prevent progressives and socialists from being elected. That's called the fucking Gestapo. The FBI and the CIA are basically, what happened to America is we were transmorgified by the World War II. And it happened in a way where when FDR died, FDR had the opinion that America should have a live and let live foreign policy with the Allies. And that included the Soviet Union, and that would have included Mao. In fact, there were a lot of American generals in World War II who admired and liked Mao and despised Chiang Kai-shek. And they didn't want America, they wanted America to support Mao and not Chiang Kai-shek. Well, after FDR died, all those guys got taken out and the left was purged from the American government by Truman. And Truman basically created the modern security state in 1947. It created the FBI is basically modeled after the Gestapo. The CIA and the FBI are a amalgamation of the different elements of the Gestapo. Both counterintelligence, foreign intelligence is practiced by the CIA, but the FBI does all the domestic shit that the Gestapo used to do. It's the same exact shit. And there was a National Security Act, I think, of 1947, and that changed America. That is what changed America into a fascist country. Prior to 1947, America was still a highly problematic, racist country. But the mechanism of permanent fascist politics was implemented and made permanent by the National Security Act of 1947. And that's when the CIA was formally established. So you have the before the CIA and you have the after the CIA. And honestly, the CIA needs to be abolished. We won World War II without the CIA. And I haven't seen a single thing the CIA has done that has made me go, thank God we have the CIA. Abolish the CIA. You're talking about abolish ICE. Abolish the CIA.
About their grievances.
I love your listeners. Your listener, you guys are very popular. I mean, you should
cool.
know this. You're very cool. Every time I tell a gay man about that I'm going to see Jen and beyond, I've had it. There's an audible gasp.
Hell yeah.
She's very popular. You need to start doing appearances at gay bars. I want to be with you.
Yes. You know, I cut my teeth going out when I was 18 or 19 with gay men at gay bars.
Yeah.
That was my, because my choices were in Oklahoma when I went to college. I could hang out with my peers, the white women, and they wanted to go to Bible study. Well, I was an atheist.
Yeah.
Or I could hang out with the gay men who had the same common enemy that I had.
Yeah.
The trad wife Bible study woman.
Yeah.
And so I hang out with gay men all the time.
Yeah. But they're just more fun.
More fun.
I go out sometimes with every once in a while I go out with a straight friend and they're fucking miserable.
Oh my
God.
Here we go.
Yeah, straight men.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're miserable.
No, you're miserable.
No, I'm not.
They
I
act
have a great time.
depressed.
No,
They're
you're
depressed. Everybody like they're trying to
I don't
get
even go
pussy.
out.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't
that's
even
their
go
thing.
out. So for me, it's like
It's just so
it's
so combative. Everybody's trying to fight over the women that don't want them.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. He's also miserable though when we have like little gatherings with all of our friends. Because it's not a gay bar, he'll just like pout. He'll be like, why are we not at a gay bar? We've talked about this on the Fear Am podcast quite a bit.
Pout, but
no, he does. And then people are like, Austin, what's wrong? Are you okay? And he's like, this is not a gay bar.
Well, it's boring. I'm bored. What are we going to, like, everybody sits around.
Chat, I just realized something. We are 4 hours into the stream, and I forgot to shill. So if you enjoy the content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 sub. We've been incredibly blessed to have open presence, be very generous with the stream, and a lot of people on this platform. But I want, if you can afford to support the stream, please consider supporting it by subscribing yourself, paying for your own sub, and ensuring that the people that are gifted subs are people who may not be able to afford it because they're on a fixed income, retired, disabled, college students, people with young children, just regular people struggling to make ends meet. If you can afford to pay for your own sub, please pay for it, because we don't want to have the support of the stream so dependent on 1 or 2 individuals. We need all the active viewers. If you can afford it, to continue to support it, you're going to build up this network. You're going to build up my ability to make even better content, to donate to politicians, to do all the great work that I do. So thank you, everybody, for all the support. I want to keep the content rolling. So thank you, everybody, for all the gifts. But I really do appreciate it. And don't forget, you can get a sub using your Bezos money, your Twitch Primes. That's like taking $6 out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. So don't forget about your Twitch Primes. That's a way to force Amazon to subsidize this channel.
Gay bars are more fun.
They're more fun. They're more happy.
Did you see the DJ Diplo recently said he loves to DJ for gay men exclusively because they're more liberated, their give a fuck meter's broken, it's just more fun and the energy's better.
Everybody's just like free. Like I think like straight men are always putting up a facade and trying to be people that they're not. It's true though.
Present company included or excluded?
Wait, say what?
Present company included or excluded?
She's saying, are you ripping on me?
Oh,
am I putting up a facade?
No, he doesn't give it. He just doesn't have fun in any environment.
That's true.
He's not at gay bars or straight bars.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's why I'm objective in my interpretation, and I read you to filth last time we tried to talk about this.
Yeah, I did.
He wants to fuck. That's what it is. And when
God
he goes
forbid.
to like a straight environment, he goes out.
Jennifer knows this.
Yeah, he goes
Shrinkage.
out.
Yeah.
Shrinkage.
He goes out, straight environment, not enough Twinks, not enough fresh hot Twinks for him. So he just gets upset. He's like, man, I don't like this.
I do. I like to go out and see attractive people. It's fun.
Yeah. I will say, I've seen some footage of you at protests lately.
Oh.
And you seem very alive and like you're having
that's my
a good
favorite
time
thing.
because you are fighting for something with total conviction, man on the street. I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, that's what I like to do.
I've been seeing
He's a
some
fascist
edits.
fighter.
He is a fascist fighter. I've seen some edits of him, thirst traps and whatever, and he keeps reposting them, and they keep coming up on my fucking feed, and I'm like,
Oh God! You couldn't waterboard that out of me. You couldn't waterboard that out of me. If I had Hassan thirst traps on my feed, you wouldn't see me admit it. I'd get the fuck out of there.
on an airplane, and it's just like this boom, 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 boom. And I'm like,
Here's the
can
thing.
you please stop reposting your own fucking thirst traps for a second?
Here's the thing, okay? They can come after me for a million different reasons. They can call me, anti-Semite, terrorist, all this stuff, radical, communist. He wants to, kill landlords, whatever, right? They can lie about all this stuff, but they can't say I'm ugly.
It's true.
So I have to use whatever advantage I can get.
That's true.
That's why, like, when people are like, Hassan, don't you get annoyed that, like, the New York Times or all these other, like, major newspapers, like, when they talk about you, they kind of talk about you like a bimbo. They're like, oh, he's so hot, over and over again. They don't talk about your ideas. And I'm like, listen, that's terrorism insurance, okay? I will... If they're gonna write
insurance,
yeah, that's what I call it. I do all these media hits not because, like, I want to, I'm really excited to go to the, some Times event, right? I do it because I know for a fact that the next week, Jewish Insider, New York Post, Fox News, and all these other, like, right-wing pro-Israel outlets are gonna be calling me a terrorist. So it softens that blow. It's the anti-Semitic terrorism insurance.
I like it. As my mother always told me, darling, if you've got it, flaunt it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Kylie, who's our first caller?
Good morning, girls.
Good morning.
I listen to your podcasts religiously every day. I get full body chills and I start screaming in my car when you guys
Holy shit, chat. We still have the hype trade going. The hype trade, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, NBs. Level 12.
Worked up. And yeah, keep fighting the good fight. Anyway, I wanted to tell you this information, though I have a feeling you've probably heard whisperings, and I was just listening to one of your more recent, I don't know if it was
Okay, chat, if you call in to a show, you don't have to give me your entire life fucking story, okay? You don't need to, just make your fucking point. Rowan Massey going crazy? Oh, hit me up with that.
Or I've had it, but you were talking about Lindsey Graham, and one of you called.
Can you give me the link instead of just text? Thank you.
Called him Lady Graham.
Yeah.
And Lindsey Graham actually has a nickname in the sex worker community. His name's Ladybug.
Thank you, fat guy.
And that's because he hires professional dominatrixes, pro-doms, to be sissified, which means being belittled, called like a little sissy bitch, to be beaten up. He hires women to call him an F slur and crawl on his knees and beg for it. But the reason why his nickname is Ladybug is because he has all of these little red moles all over his body that look like ladybugs. So everyone in the Dom community knows him well, and they call him Ladybug. Part of what these men pay for is to be called, sissification is all about becoming like a feminine man, or literally being dressed up like a woman and humiliated. His kink is humiliation. And I just thought you should know that. Maybe you've read about this on Reddit. I don't know if anyone's ever shared this information with you, but I know it to be a fact.
I'm shocked he's hiring women.
Yeah,
that's the shock.
He does have. he does have sex with men.
They call him Lady
Right,
G.
because-
Boys. I've
right,
heard.
right. So he has sex.
Young men.
Yeah, and then he
Oh.
also hires women to call him a F-A-G-G-O-T.
Maybe that's like a contingency plan for him to be like, you see, I'm not gay. That's why I hire all these ladies. You know, maybe that's why he did it. Maybe that's why he's doing it. Because, like, yeah, it's the worst kept secret in DC.
It's the least. It's the worst kept secret. It's the least surprising. Look at him. He looks like a sissy.
Well, and he's always shit-faced drunk.
Yeah.
He's always hammered. Like,
oh yeah,
total alky.
Yeah.
But I saw him recently in Israel, and he did a photograph with like the head of Mossad.
Yeah.
And he posted it like so proud. And I thought, they must have so much footage of you doing gay stuff.
Oh,
like it
100%.
must be just safes full of gay stuff with Lindsey Graham.
How do these people get honeypotted like this? Like, what are they like? Come on, Lindsay, come suck it. You know,
Brother,
the
if you've not
camcorder.
been looking at the Epstein file releases, they are horn dogs, all of them. They're creepy, horny
I know,
monsters.
but like, do these people have no concept that everything that they write is out there forever?
I think that they think
Or did
they're
they just
above
not have the
it, and it's
concept
so
at the time?
normalized in their group. It's so flagrant and
crazy
it's
for
so
me.
normalized. And I also think they're above. If you think about the majority of the stuff that's been dripped this last time was after Jeffrey Epstein took a plea deal, and everybody knew he was a pedophile, especially in those circles. And you have Howard Letnick, who we refer to as Howard Nutlick's wife, emailing him saying, hey, our yacht is going to swing by your island. We are two families. We have a group of 4
they have
boys
the
and 2
ages of the
teenage
children.
girls.
Yeah. They have the ages of the
A
children.
mother tells a known convicted pedophile the ages of her daughters that are coming. And everybody in that whole thing is in the Epstein files.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. It's because
All right, Chad, I think this actually is a good place to break away because just now, major co-conspirators of the Epstein files have been released. Now, in the Constitution, there is something known as the congressional privilege, meaning you cannot be arrested or otherwise sanctioned for speeches made on the congressional floor. And Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie are now exposing 6 of the major Epstein co-conspirators. This just occurred.
Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikaladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner.
Hold on, Chad. I'm looking for more of their coverage. I'm trying to get the actual floor speech because that was way too short and abrupt. This is the press
Kentucky
conference
Republican
they did
Representative
yesterday.
Thomas Massie and California Democratic Representative Ro Khanna held a press conference. They're the co-authors of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which forced the Department of Justice to release materials from the investigation. During their nearly 20 minutes of remarks, they criticized the DOJ and Attorney General Pam Bondi, claiming the Trump administration was already breaking the law by failing to release relevant files. They also expressed concerns over the redactions.
Yeah, sorry to keep you guys out here that long.
Well, that was an interesting experience.
It was.
The user interface is a little clunky at first, but what I saw that bothered me were the names of at least 6 men that have been redacted that are likely incriminated by their inclusion in these files. So that's the first thing that I saw. It took some digging to find them. Then I'll let you talk about what you saw.
Well, and we discussed that. I mean, there are 6 men, some of them with their photographs that have been redacted, and there's no explanation why those people were redacted. And Thomas discovered it through his MIT logic with some of the searches. But, you know, that's really concerning. I think there are 2 other points. One is some of the internet concern about.
All right, let's bring on the House floor.
until the families in Denver and across the country are safe.
Gentlewoman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files redacted. In fact, there were wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikaladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed Soliam, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for 3 million files. But the story gets worse. The reality is that Donald Trump's FBI scrubbed these files in March, long before Thomas Massey and I passed the Epstein Transparency Act. Now, my bill is clear. The Epstein Transparency Act requires them to unredact those FBI files. And yet the Justice Department said to me and to Congressman Massey, we just uploaded whatever the FBI sent us. And guess what? The FBI sent files. That means the survivor's statement to the FBI, naming rich and powerful men who went to Epstein's island, who went to his ranch, who went to his home and raped and abused underage girls or saw underage girls being paraded, they're all hidden. They're all redacted. It's a little bit of a farce. They're inviting all the members of Congress to go to see Department of Justice, quote unquote, unredacted files, but they've got all redacted files from the FBI. And it's not the fault of the Justice Department attorneys. They were just told upload things that Donald Trump's FBI had already. It's a blatant violation of the Epstein Transparency Act, but it also asks a fundamental question. Who are they protecting? Why are they protecting these rich and powerful men, people I call part of the Epstein class? Why are we in a country where there is no elite accountability for people who do the most heinous things? You have in England the king now calling for an investigation and possible prosecution of his own brother. You have in Norway the princess who no longer has support to be the queen. And yet in the United States of America, we have someone in the cabinet, Howard Lutnick, who is all over these Epstein files, who allegedly had business with Epstein after he was convicted of pedophilia, and he still is in the cabinet. We need to ask ourselves, are we in America going to have elite accountability? Are we going to call on rich and powerful people who broke the law or a cavorted pedophile, a convicted pedophile? Are we going to call them to account? Are we going to have prosecutions for billionaires who went to this island, either raped underage girls or saw underage girls and didn't say anything? Are we going to have investigations? I'll tell you what this is about. It's not just about the 1,200 survivors, 2 tiers of justice in America. It's about people who can accumulate wealth and power and don't have to care about the rest of America. They have destroyed so much of this country. Income inequality is at a 60-year high. Worker salaries than they have been for 75 years as a part of GDP. Somehow this country seems to be working for the rich and powerful, but it's not working for ordinary working class Americans. I say enough. It's time to begin with accountability for the Epstein class. Hold them in front of Congress, those people who visited the island or did business with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. Investigate them, prosecute them, and let's return to democratic accountability in the United States of America. Let's return to one system of justice in the United States of America. Let's return to a place where every American has a stake in this country.
The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Ohio, Ms. Capper, for 5 minutes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like the Epstein files shit is not going away. It's absolutely not going away. And we have ourselves a situation where more and more people are saying that Donald, oh my God, wait a minute. Sorry, hold on. What the fuck? Oh shit, I just clicked off the tab. Which tab is it? I lost the tab. Okay, I have it. Apparently, Donald Trump is in the redacted section of the Epstein files 1 million times. Jamie Raskin told Axios in an interview Tuesday that when he searched President Trump's name in the unredacted Epstein files, it came up more than 1 million times. At least one of the files Raskin found appears to contradict what Trump has publicly claimed about his association with Jeffrey Epstein. The document, according to the House Judiciary Committee ranking member, that document is a 2009 email exchange between Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, in which Epstein recounted his lawyer's account of a phone call with Trump. Trump is paraphrased and quoted as saying, no, Jeffrey Epstein was not a member of Mar-a-Lago, but he was a guest at Mar-a-Lago, and no, we never asked him to leave. The former Palm Beach chief of police testified to the FBI in 2019 that following Epstein's arrest in the early 2000s, Trump claimed he threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Trump reportedly also told the then police chief that everyone has to know he's been doing this and that Maxwell is evil and to focus on her. Following allegations of improper redactions in the more than 3 million files that were released on Epstein, the Justice Department has begun giving members of Congress access to the unredacted files. The idea that we could get through a meaningful fraction of them is just ridiculous, he said. I mean, there's tons of redacted stuff. In Trump's name, I think, I put his name, it appears more than 1 million times. So it's all over the place. To me, the whole rollout of saying that members can come from 9 to 5 to sit at those 4 computers is just part of the cover-up. The 3 million documents that the administration has not publicly released are the ones I'd like to see, he said. The administration said these are duplicative. Well, go ahead and release all of them then. If they're duplicative, what's the problem? We'll be the judge of that. Why aren't they going to court to force contempt? Because the Democrats are cucked losers and they are scared of a constitutional crisis because they believe they'll lose. That's why. They are worried about a constitutional crisis where the justices make an order and then Donald Trump just says, fuck you. And what do we do if that happens? What if Donald Trump, if you've heard about American democracy for a long time, then you know that they've been saying, oh, we have checks and balances, checks and balances, checks and balances. Well, what happens when the checks and the balances are overridden right in front of your eyes? And basically what this is the Democrat strategy, and I told you this before, the Democratic Party strategy is to hold out until the midterms and then win over some House of Congress. And then they'll be able to, you know, they believe they'll have enough power that they'll be able to ride out Trump. And they don't want to do anything too confrontational now because they worry they'll lose or some sort of radical event rupture will happen and that will help Trump. That's what they're afraid of. They believe that Donald Trump credibility is crashing. They just need to ride out the rest of this year. There'll be normal elections in November and then everything will go back to normal and they can go back to brunch. That is their fucking plan because they're squared it. Also, they're worried that if they don't want to give any progress or any motion to the progressives or the left in this country. So they're trying to like sap the energy of Democrats and they want to ride like a medium-sized wave. They don't want the wave to get too big because then you don't know who's going to win. You might get some real progressives in there and there might be pressure to do some more shit. They want to try to have an adequate response where they can say to the billionaires, you got to give money to us too, because we control the House and we're not going to work with you unless you give us money too. That's the entire plan of the Democratic Party. Use your energy and your outrage over Trump to get themselves their cushy jobs back.
Some of the more sensational emails. I mean, I do think it's important to recognize that some of the senders on that are women. And so some of the redactions may be appropriate, some may not be appropriate. We need to look at that. But just because there's an email out there, it doesn't mean that there's necessarily an improper redaction. The bigger concern is these 6 individuals. I will say that the staff was very professional in allowing us to do the searches. Our bigger concern is that there's still a lot that's redacted. Even in what we're seeing redacted versions. I thought we were supposed to see the unredacted versions, and that's because the documents produced to justice from the FBI, from the grand jury was redacted when they got it. So we kept doing the searches for the unredacted information. It's the identical redactions that they have. Now, I don't think that's nefarious on the career attorneys that were reviewing it, but they obviously haven't gotten the production because our law says that the FBI and the original grand jury needs to be unredacted.
The U.S. attorneys and the FBI are compelled, as well as the DOJ, and the DOJ was responsible for this document production, and they just produced documents that have been given to them from the FBI, the 302 forms, for instance, which need to be unredacted. There was one other thing that definitely needs to be addressed. Some of these files have been taken down, like the DOJ produced them, and for some reason they took them down. Maybe they decided that victims' names were in there and that they needed further redactions. But those documents not only haven't been put back up on the site with the appropriate redactions, they were not available to us to search. As far as I could tell, we searched the documents that had been taken off.
Share with us the name of the 6 men that you identified?
Probably should do that from the floor or in a committee hearing.
And look, they should be releasing these documents. We have many avenues where we can compel that legally. Maybe they've done it out of oversight. I don't know. I don't believe that. But, you know, they should be releasing those documents. And our hope is to get them to do that. And then in some of the redactions, they need to be very careful in whether that was a survivor or not. Just because, for example, someone is female doesn't necessarily mean they're survivors. And it seemed like they blanket redacted anyone who was a female.
Yeah, I would like to give the DOJ a chance to say they made a mistake and over-redacted and let them unredact those men's names. That would probably be the best way to...
How much of the redactions, you said that there are a lot of... the documents, some of what you saw in there had redactions. How much new information then did you see that was unredacted, or did it look pretty similar to what we've seen publicly?
I mean, what we're after is the men, Jeffrey Epstein. We want those names published. We're not out to embarrass people. And the problem is, and they're hoping to see that in 302 forms. What we found out is those 302 forms were redacted before they got to the... But our legislation directs the FBI, which is the agency that produced those 302 forms, to also produce these documents. The Attorney General is ultimately responsible for that production, so that's why we're here at the DOJ to view these files. But there needs to be more information given in those 302s. So I was disappointed we didn't find that. But it's also clear, just sort of as a checking their homework, they need to do a little more homework. There are 6 men. We went in there for 2 hours. There's millions of files, right? In a couple of hours, we found 6 men whose names have been redacted who are implicated in the way that the files are presented. You know,
what's your message to Pam Bondi after what you saw today?
Need to do a little more work. And I would like, I mean, we'll see her at the Judiciary Committee here in a couple days.
At the very least, these 6 men, maybe she can make public. I mean, we're happy to provide the information to them. And they should do that. Look, there's some of the effort, because there were a lot of career attorneys on there. There's some redactions that were appropriate to protect the survivors. And some of the most sensational things out on the Internet, there may have been appropriate redaction. So, you know, for Thomas and me, it's always been about the facts. And our biggest concern is what was redacted before it even came to the Justice Department. I mean, the reality is that the most important things, the 302 files and some of the information on the prosecution memos, it's unclear that those redactions happened here. We saw a lot of files that already were redacted. And then, of course, they have been protecting some of these men. Maybe it was not intentionally, but the law is very clear. They need to comply with the law.
And finally, the documents that they put up and decided for one reason or another they had to take back down, I was hoping to see those here. They didn't appear to be in the database that we were able to search. Those ostensibly are wholly redacted files now. We know they exist. They published them for a brief period of time and pulled them back. They need to answer to us as to do they intend to redact those files and put them back up and put them in the database so that we can search them and see if it was appropriate to take them back down from the website.
Are these men U.S. citizens? What fields do they work in? Is it finance? Is it political?
At least one is a U.S. citizen. At least one is a foreigner. The other 3 or 4 have names. I'm not sure if they're foreign or U.S.
And which field do they work in? Is it finance, banking, political?
One is pretty high up in a foreign government.
And some are one of the others is a pretty prominent individual. But I think that the point is that
the reason why they're not saying anything now, chat, is they wanted to wait till they could get on the floor of the House for the speech and debate clause. This is one of the most important things that the Constitution has. And you can see how progressive some of the elements of the Constitution were, because it says, the senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the treasury. They shall in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of peace be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. So they shall not be questioned means that you could say whatever the fuck you want on the floor of the House. And so they can't be sued. They can't be arrested. They can't be charged. And it is the ultimate whistleblower protection. As succinctly described by the court, the clause's immunity from liability applies even though their conduct, if performed in other than legislative context, would be in itself unconstitutional or otherwise contrary to criminal or civil statute. It is a general immunity for anything they say on the House. Once it is determined that the clause applies to a given action, the resulting protections from liability are absolute, and the action may not be the basis for a criminal or civil judgment against a member. So that's why he waited to name names until he was on the floor of the House.
these 6 are just what we found in 2 hours of a review of the files that aren't redacted. The broader issue is why so many of the files they're getting are redacted in the first place. And until that becomes unredacted, the main things that they're sending to the career attorneys to review, I don't think we're going to have full compliance with the law or get to the question that most Americans want to know. Who were the rich and powerful people who went to this island? Did they rape underage girls? Did they know that underage girls were being paraded around? And after seeing this, I don't blame the U.S. attorneys, the assistant U.S. attorneys reviewing it. If they're reviewing redacted material, what are they supposed to? But they're getting, it seems like, material that's already been redacted.
Materials earlier, he said that he saw President Trump's name redacted. He saw Lee Wexner's name redacted. Did you see President Trump's name redacted, Lee Wexner's name redacted? Can you share anything about that?
I didn't put Donald Trump in the search engine, so I couldn't tell you.
Why not?
Email about the little girl who was, quote, a little naughty.
I did, and that was a woman that wrote that. And so it may be proper to redact it, and it may not be. I don't know. It seems like part of their algorithm for redaction was just to redact every woman in there, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we can't parse.
What the fuck? Really? What? There were co-conspirators that were women. What the fuck? What?
If the person who sent that a victim or not.
Look, none of this is designed to be a witch hunt. Just because someone may be in the files doesn't mean that they're guilty. But there are very powerful people who raped these underage girls. It wasn't just Epstein and Maxwell, or showed up to the island, or showed up to the ranch, or showed up to the home knowing underage girls were being paraded around. And some of the sickening stuff in there about the violence. And what we want to do is have the investigation to get to those people, to answer those questions, not to say that every internet rumor about some email is going to be true. And like I said, in some of the cases, the redactions may have been appropriate. For Thomas and me, it's never been about getting Donald Trump or getting Bill Clinton or scoring political points or trying to destroy people's reputations. It's about actually getting justice for these survivors.
Do you plan to read the 6 names on the House floor?
I think we need to give the DOJ a chance to go back through and correct their mistakes.
How long do they have to do that? How long do they have to redact these files?
They're already breaking the law. Look, they're way past the deadline. And the reason they gave for taking so much time is so they wouldn't release victims' information. But in fact, they've released all kinds of victims' information. So the problem here is not the deadline. The problem is they need to go back. They need to themselves check their own homework or have somebody else check it. And as Rose said, they need to go to the U.S. attorneys and the FBI, who are compelled by the legislation directly to produce that material to them unredacted.
And I think, look, we could have brought contempt or impeachment weeks ago, but our interest is in actually getting the information out. And as a result of the strategy we've been pursuing, this is the largest release of the Epstein files in history. Now, it's not enough. It has exposed people in the highest levels in technology, in finance, in real estate. It has exposed the establishment and monarchies in other countries. So our push is, how do we expose this and have accountability, not how do we score political points or have retribution. Well, he's on the committee.
We'll see Wednesday.
Who do you suspect made those announcements?
It seems that they were made by the FBI or they were made by attorneys in the grand jury, but the Justice Department, it seems, got some of these documents already redacted. Our law was very clear. Unless something was classified, it required it to be unredacted. And they have not complied with that law. And that law needs to be complied with, because that's where a lot of the information is, especially about the powerful people in this country and what their involvement was. You know, their involvement could have been that they were showing up at this island knowing that there was pedophilia taking place. Their involvement could have been that they were actually engaged in raping underage girls, or knowing that underage girls were being raped. We won't know until we see those files.
Ghislaine Maxwell and her lawyers statement say?
It's a list of 20. You can actually direct you to the unredacted or the redacted file. It's a list of 20 individuals. 3 or 4, Maxwell and Epstein are on the list, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. And everybody else is redacted, and their names are redacted, but it also includes 20 pictures, 20 photographs, sort of mugshots. They're not the best pictures. I'm not sure if they were mugshots or not. There are at least 3 or 4 males in the photographs. I couldn't verify by looking at their names because they have foreign names. I couldn't verify by looking at their names that they were male until I went and looked at the photographs. By the way, in the document I'm directing you to, the photographs are redacted and their names are redacted. There is no reason in our legislation.
So, like, by the way, so the problem that they have is that a lot of, this is something that if you study political philosophy, you will learn, which is like laws. You know how Brendan Lee Mulligan said laws are threats? They're not threats. They're expression of social consensus. And there is the possibility of threat, but that's layers deep. And most of the way laws actually work, like in the real world, is that people just follow them without resistance. Any law that requires active enforcement, like that requires like extra effort from the state, is a sign of a lack of social consensus. So what do you do when the laws are just being openly flouted by everyone? That is called a legitimacy problem. It isn't that law, the state either has passed a law and that has no democratic support for it, therefore it lacks legitimacy, or 2, the state itself is breaking laws, which means there's a question of the legitimacy of its own institutions. If the institutions are not following the directives of the state itself or the legislative process, then there is a conflict between the laws that establish the state and the state itself, which means there's corruption. They have this law that was properly passed, signed, went through all the procedures, became formalized, and the state is not following its own laws. That creates a crisis of legitimacy in the state. And either there has to be some sort of compulsion to follow the law by the state, or legitimacy will continue to drop and corruption will continue to increase. And I think that the situation we're in right now is Donald Trump is revealing he could just break the law because he has a cult behind him. And the cult will say, and if you talk to the cult members, he has to have a good reason. It's a thought terminating cliche. When he breaks the law and there's no argument that he didn't, they just say, well, he must have a good reason and I trust him. That's cult shit. And so we are in a crisis because there's 80 million cult members in our country. And that has happened before in other places. This is something that's very important for people to understand, that this type of shit has happened before, where entire countries had tens of millions of people that were following a fucking cult. Like, it has happened before. And many times it's led to the deaths of millions. We are in a dangerous position. And I think everybody's underestimating the threat. We are really underestimating the threat of having homicidal cult members who cannot be reached by reason.
That allows them to redact the names of those men, as far as I can tell.
Unless there are any male survivors, which seems, hard to believe given this issue. But and all the women that are redacted, it's unclear if they were just actual survivors, in which case they did the appropriate thing, or whether they just, as Thomas said, had an algorithm to take out any woman's name.
There's also hold on a second. There's also an FBI form that lists people who are conspirators, and one of those is a male. It's like on an FBI form, redacted his picture and his name on that form, where they were, I guess, considering an indictment or indicting or something. I could also, I don't have the number in front of me, but I could direct you. It's a 3-page EFTA file. I'm not sure if they're mugshots.
Investigating these individuals, or like
in one instance it was, and in the other instance it seemed to be.
I've got to go. I'll let Thomas.
No, I got to go too.
All right.
One question, Congressman Khanna. Congressman Massey has called for Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to face potentially some accountability for the connection that he has in these files. Do you support that call?
Absolutely.
All right, you motherfuckers. You're taking the shit that I find, and then you motherfuckers are running to Hassan and grabbing credit for me. You sons of bitches. There are multiple chatters who now watch me, then yoink my takes and yoink my links, and then run over to Hassan and be like, look how smart of a chatter I am. I see you motherfuckers. I see you. What, do you want me to be beaten down and then go away because I don't grow enough and then my stream is not viable? Then where are you going to steal your takes, motherfucker?
What's happening in Britain? You have a left government. Actually, I know Keir Starmer. I was excited when he won, and yet I believe he needs to be held accountable with what's happened with Mendelssohn. You have the British monarchy having to answer questions. I mean, the King of England is putting out statements. And yet in our country, we have not had that reckoning. People in power, whether they're in government, whether they're in finance, whether they're in technology, if they have been implicated in the files in morally embarrassing ways and in ways shock the conscience, should be held accountable. And it should be regardless of party. I believe that Lutnick, at the very least, needs to be brought before Congress. I think, based on the evidence, he should be out of the cabinet. But, you know, I mean, people say, oh, you're just a Democrat saying that. No, I mean, look at what he is, how much influence he had with Epstein, and he wasn't transparent about it. But again, it's not about Lutnick, and it's not about any particular person. In this country, we have to make a decision. Are we going to allow rich and powerful people who were friends and had no problem doing business and showing up with a pedophile who was raping underage girls? Are we just going to allow them to skate? Or like other countries, are we going to have elite accountability and have accountability for the people who did that? Most Americans believe we need accountability.
Can you confirm?
Thanks. No, I didn't.
Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin is the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee.
All right, chat. Wow. Thomas Massey just said he would go nuclear if they don't release the names. That he'll do it himself if he has to. Those screeching names on the floor of the House now have lost the plot. We passed a bill, and it's the DOJ's job to show the files. Yesterday, Roe and I pressured DOJ to unredact several people who the FBI labeled as co-conspirators in 2019. Here's the before and after yesterday. I think the point that they're trying to make is they want the official release coming from the government, not them. Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirators. The Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirators are now being unredacted. Les Wexner, co-conspirated. Karna Choliak, former girlfriend. Oh. The Epstein Files Transparency Act allows DOJ to react sensitive. I love when like right-wingers ask Grok shit and then Grok disproves them and they melt down. Funny how Massey hasn't mentioned how Trump called the cops on Epstein. Bro, you are absolutely insane. Like, I think being a cultist for Donald Trump, he's doing I mean, listen, I'm not a Thomas Massey supporter. He's a fucking weirdo libertarian, but he's obvious. And he and Ro Khanna, they're not my favorite people, but they're doing the right thing on a level that other people aren't doing. And let me tell you something, chat. I want these guys hunted down. I think you're not angry enough. I think that everybody touching these guys, everyone, should go down. And if it's 90% Democrats, I don't give a shit. All right. Well, chat, thank you. What a great stream we had today. Thank you for all the support. You guys are the best. I mean, I got 5K viewers and we didn't talk about the drama. That's fucking awesome. I'm like so happy that like not being a drama slop, we still hit 5K. That's fucking crazy. I'm like, can I just say this to you about you guys? I like the fact that I'm the politics guy. I appreciate that there's actually, you know, listen, I talk about drama issues from time to time, but it's really gratifying to know that we have a hardcore of people that just actually care about the real world and doing real shit and not just, quite frankly, what amounts to boring bullshit. So thank you so much for all the support. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing in the mornings, I really need all of you guys to subscribe to my YouTube. Because right now, you know, I have over 100,000 followers on Twitch and 50,000 followers on Twitter, but only 22,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I need all you guys to make sure you get over there, hit the subscribe button, just so I have my YouTube as a backup. I would love to be able to hit at least 50K, like double the subs I have, 45K by the end of this year, just so I have a backup for, you know, I could then start streaming on YouTube if the worst were to happen and I got permit here. We have a drama slop video I published yesterday. The growth of the Chinese Navy is unbelievable. Debunking Tectone. Making fun of Destiny. Talking about Hassan's band backfiring. Northern Lion. Standing up to talk about Voice Critical actually taking a good line. Our kill line video going viral in China. 50K views on that. Like the YouTube is actually starting to cook. So thank you guys, gals, non-binary pals for all the support. Appreciate all of you. And if you watch my streams, you're going to like these videos because they are edited down sections of my stream, but the editors add in like links and context and other clips. They like make the stream even better. So it's not just like lazily thrown up. They put a lot of effort into it. So I would really appreciate if you guys checked it out. And with that, I'm out of here. I'm sending you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to VO. If you could do me a favor, DSA L, DSA Raid, DSA Keck W, our poor Maduro Keck W. Hassan calling me out? What do you mean Hassan's calling me out? All right, what the fuck is this?
A Chinese now leading the China Maxim on the social media. But there is a more important question to ask. Why the Chinese influence be able to capture the American audience, the young people especially. And I think it is really because of the education.
All right, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be reacting to this bullshit. I'm the real China Maxer. See you tomorrow. Say hi to Vio for me.